we getting no picture? What's going on? Hello, is everyone? It's not working, I don't think. No picture. Brooksy.
Hello.
Hi, guys. Doesn't look like the stream is getting a picture. It looks black to me. Or is that wrong?
It was a second ago. I've just come out of YouTube though, so I can't.
It is black, yeah.
It's black, yeah. Okay.
Oh, hi, Darren.
I literally just got out of the car. Just give me a sec.
You're looking a bit flushed.
Oh my god! I had to walk like a kilometre to the car, and then there was traffic, and then yeah,
football matches. There you go.
Just one.
I was in the chat, so I was just letting him know. I saw you popped in actually. Martin says audio. Good audio, no video.
Okay, so we've got no video. Why do we not have video? That's just very.
Oh, we're just in a podcast.
Oh, there's the video. Ah, there! Look at that. It was amazing. I just had to press a button, not the on button. It was literally just a button I had to press. Now let's go to here. Sorry guys for being late. I literally have got back from the football, where this team that I'm wearing lost against
commiserations. Is audio coming through all right, by the way, Ranz?
Yes, you guys are fine.
Lovely.
I've got to get chat working. Sorry, I'm going to be pretty much doing what I do before I start streaming now. So everyone will witness the craziness of setting up a stream live. And some people might actually, believe it or not, some people might find that interesting. I don't know why, but some people find that interesting. Okay, we have got chatties in. Yes.
Yay.
Look at that. Thanks everyone for being patient. I know I was 10 minutes late. I know the stream should have started technically 15 minutes ago. But technically,
3 minutes ago.
Technically, it's 2 o'clock UK time is what we advertise for. Exactly, Darren. Exactly. All right. Are we ready to rock and roll? We'll roll the sting. We're good to go?
Yeah. Yeah.
Thumbs up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Let's go. Well, hello, another Saturday has arrived, and you have arrived at the end of the internet where this show called Synth Geekery appears. And it's by some mystical anomaly in the cosmos, this is how this happens. We actually just sit here and, we're just sort of beamed in from somewhere else, and all of a sudden we're playing with our synths. Just kidding. How's everyone going this week? Brooksy, we'll start with you. How's your week been, matey? Just while I get set up, I'll let you have a little chat to everyone.
My week. Yeah, actually, back at work, so it's been work. But yesterday afternoon, I did basically 2 seminars, 2-hour-long seminars. One to the year 12s, one to the year 13s, A-level music tech classes on analog synthesis. It's something I've done before, but this time I actually was I was in a better position perhaps in some ways, because I took the Pro 1 basically. Now that it sort of works, I took the Pro 1, and I took this modular case here, that one, and B-Step Pro connected to it, and a key step which I use to control the SH01A, and I took in my Volkers, the keys, the bass, and the FM. So I was just basically doing a demonstration, talking about the theory of it and this, that, and the other, and showing a few sounds, how it worked.
That's cool.
And then I just, very bravely, I just said, right, there you go, kids, fill your boots, just make a racket, play about, see what you can make them do.
Oh, you let them have a fiddle?
Absolute scream.
Awesome.
Oh yeah.
I'll bet you they love that.
Yeah, we had a real good time actually. It was a lot of fun. There were differences between the two classes. The year 12 class was much bigger. There were 16 kids in that, and the year 13 there were only 6. So it was actually a very different dynamic between the two groups. And there were some really interesting, actually fascinating questions. And there was one that was a bit, well, why would you bother with all this when la 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 la, the sort of questions. Until I played them one oscillator, just a single sawtooth on the Pro 1. Then brought in the second oscillator, and you could see them. They're going, oh, right, I see. And then I dropped it down 2 octaves, and they were like, oh my god. I was like,
You've just converted.
Yeah, and it was coming through a pair of actually Behringer, quite big Behringer monitors that sounded really powerful. Actually, I thought, oh, look at those. They were really bass in boards, and they were like, oh, I see. And then you do it. Then you do the FFS filter sweep, and they're going, oh. I said, right, now you see the difference. That's me with the machine. Now, if you can do that on a computer, you can do that on a soft synth. You'll get just the power on many of them, but it's a different experience. And I said, right. And eventually we got going and said, right, there you go, just mess about. So honestly, it was cacophony, but we had such a laugh. It was good fun. It was really good fun.
Oh,
Music tech in German. 1, 2, 3, 9. No happy slappers. It wasn't in German. It was. Yeah. So that was me yesterday. Now I've got to tell you, Ranz. Actually, I'm going to have to disappear at 4 o'clock because I've got to do me looking after duties.
Yeah.
And then get to Grace's by 7. So I'm all packing it in. So I'm just sort of letting you know that. So right. So you don't think I'm being rude when I piss off? I mean, disappear quickly.
Sorry if you heard all the noises in the background while Brooksy was talking. I was kind of busily setting up cameras and stuff, which I'm still doing. And I'll go over to Darren. Big hello to you, mate. How's your week been?
Well, nothing like Andy's. Can't really say much, really. Pretty boring then.
Come on,
you've come to someone who can't say anything. No, not really. I can't even say anything. Nothing. Just nothing. No music.
Nothing happening
all week. That's wonderful.
That's fantastic. Everyone's
absolutely
chaffing at the bit for
just
that.
the same old boring drug of a work day. Other than that,
okay, work.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. Well, I changed these round a little bit above my head.
Don't want to talk about work. Oh yeah, what'd you do?
Yeah, I noticed that.
You got yellow on the left and the right now, and you got some other stuff in the middle. You got big sky.
No, I've got my big sky and the TC Electronics.
Yep.
Triple delay.
Yep.
And just moved my Erebus around. Just a bit of a change.
Bit of a colour balance.
But other than that, I was just having a bit of a jam, so I thought I'd move everything into position so I could jam on it. And other than that, nothing really.
Cool. Well, there's nothing wrong with nothing. You can't complain with nothing. Nothing's better than doing something dangerous or destructive, or do you know what I mean, or negative even. So you're doing well. I need to fix my shirt, but anyway, I'll do that in a sec. Okay, now I don't even know if we managed to get any memes this week because it's been a crazy week. So let me just have a quick look. Well, maybe I did.
Awesome.
I did get 2. Okay, cool. All right, let's have a quick say hello to the chatties because I haven't done that yet. And big hello to everyone who sort of started early and were patient, by the way. So thank you again for that. I think next week, I mentioned it in Discord. Next week, actually wouldn't mind starting the early show again, guys. Now, you guys, I'm talking about Brooksy and Darren. You don't have to come to the early part, but I'm going to do that 1 hour early show again because I think a lot of people were saying that they missed it. So we'll start doing that again when we're jamming for an hour and so before the show, which means there will be an early show at 1 o'clock UK time, and then the main show will start at 2 o'clock. So we'll go back to what we did through your winter and my summer. And I'll see if I can continue that on. One of the reasons for it is I actually am able to pick up a lot more people in the eastern part of Australia because of the time zone differences. So they'll still be awake. And so that's going to be a benefit because a lot of Australians do like to watch the show live. Oh, I'm out of breath. As opposed to, watching it on replay. It's a different experience on replay. So anyway, getting back to the chatties, who's here? Who's here? Some really good people here, that's for sure. Keith in Watford, Wigoo, Martin Taylor, Mr. Mac, hello to all of you gentlemen, and Cresshead's here, Prometheus, JP Page 2, Future World Machines, big hello to you, Asio Head as well. Who else? Synthetic Mr. Andy is here. Good to see him. And Sasquatch and that was like everyone saying, "Where's Ranzee? What's he doing? What's going on?" for a little while, and then I'm jumping in whilst I was sort of getting in the car. I'm here. I'm driving in the car. I'm parking. It was pretty crazy. Who else has jumped in?
Turning the key.
Yeah, I was doing like blow by blow. Andy's Manny's there.
Kids in the back.
Dr. Synth's there. Yeah, kids in the back. Took 2 kids with me to the footy. Hope I don't get COVID. There was about 40,000 people there. Jake's 3D, big hello to you. Anyway, so Apis Lapis, did I mention Apis Lapis? Haven't seen Apis Lapis for a while, actually. Big hello to you. And Atto Z and a few other people. I think it'll just scroll off the screen as it usually does. Human Error, Kev Human, George. Hello to all of you. Big welcome, everyone, to the chat part of the show. If you are new here, you're watching the stream and you're thinking to yourself, what is this all about? Jump into chat and say hi. Tell us where you're from. There's always someone new each week, which I love about this. So do sort of get off whatever you're doing, and if you're at work or something, just sneak a little hello, I'm from wherever into chat. It's always nice to meet new people, especially fellow synth geeks, that's for sure. Now, if everything works, we should have a couple of memes to share, and I'm going to roll the stinger for funny side. Yeah, this one was really, really funny. Well, for me as a nerd, it was anyway. This is actually a screenshot out of the Roland System 8 manual about how to place your System 8 on a stand. Now, this is no... someone hasn't plagiarized this and changed this is actually what's in the manual. So go check out your System 8 manual if you don't believe me. But look at that second line. Be careful not to pinch your fingers when setting up the stand. And and basically this whole pinching your fingers thing, I mean, obviously Roland are trying to be nice and saying, look, if you put your fingers in the way, the stand is going to, jam them, all sorts of words. But I think this one kind of went down a different route, and people were kind of sort of thinking, well, to be a really good System 8 player, apparently you have to pinch your fingers. So people may not get it. Depends on what part of the world you're from, but pinching your fingers means different things in some parts of the world. So I thought that one was clever. Okay, what else we got? Oops. There we go. What about this one? Pentagon, hexagon, octagon, and girlfriend is gone. Playing with shapes on Synth Geekery. That one was pretty good too, I thought. Now that one is yeah. That's it for the memes this week. I only got permission to show 2. Remember, I'm being careful at the moment because I've got a strike on my channel and I have to be careful with YouTube, otherwise things won't go my way. Yeah, even though I've apologised and everything, I still have a strike. Anyway, we won't dwell on that. Should we do news? What do you think?
Go on,
Let's do it.
Letters.
Well, let's see if it gets the... No, it didn't get it right. Why doesn't it ever get right? Okay, anyway, it doesn't matter.
There's something wrong with that program, isn't there?
There is definitely something. It just automatically scrolls. There we go. Look at that. It's all good now, see? We are going to talk about this thing. And
yeah, I thought we might.
I don't even know, because I've just jumped onto this stream really late. I don't even know if the video's lined up. So let me just see if I can get that to work. And if everything plays nicely, we should have a video after the ads stop. Okay, so what is this while I'm waiting to set the video up? What is this? If you haven't seen this, then you haven't been watching any of your favorite synth shows during the week. Have you really? Because it's been on every single synth show. There's been YouTubers who have posted it, and I think this is actually pretty cool. This is a keyboard that has a eurorack rack in it, and at the same time it has polyphonic ability up to 4 voices, and it has arpeggiator, it has chord mode, it has buffered malts, it has so many cool things that I just thought to myself, Waldorf, you guys should have done this. This is kind of really like, don't you think this is kind of what Waldorf should have done? This is very clever indeed. They've taken some ideas from Base Station 2 with the functions and, you know, using the keys as actual buttons for the functions, which I think is genius, and Base Station 2 and Chris were paramount for doing things like that.
Key step
Similar
thing on the key step as well.
Yeah. But, you know, this is like a NiftyKEYZ with a keyboard with a whole bunch of cool extras that you can just go crazy on. Now, just give me a sec. I'm just going to get my notes because I haven't even got that set up yet. I'm going to also show you guys... Why don't we watch the video while I get my notes up and we can have a little chat about it on the other side. Here we go. It'll list a whole bunch of stuff there. Let's have a quick chat about it before we go any further with this. It's all about the 4s, really, isn't it, guys? It's about 49 keys. You get that one? 4 octaves and 4 CV gate inputs. So I reckon that's really cool. Allows for the playing of polyphonic eurorack modules if you want to, and we'll have a look at Robin Vincent's video, a little bit of that in a sec, because I thought he did a really good job explaining how that becomes a creative quirkiness as well. And hats off to Robin for, you know, having that sort of foresight when he gets a new product. But I just like all the other features too, like internal multi-mode arpeggiator, syncs to an external clock, or you can sync it to an internal clock. It features a mod wheel that can be tweaked with an LFO, which is cool. And that LFO is built into the actual, you know, case as well. It has 5 waveforms as well if you want. 2 buffered malts, as I mentioned before, and it includes outputs for headphones. The headphone thing's a bit weird. We'll talk about that in a sec. Will remind me to talk about that in a sec. USB and MIDI DIN connectivity, which is good. And there's also dedicated CV outputs. This was the interesting one for velocity and aftertouch. So 112 HP of space, 1500 milliamps of power, which I think is the same as the NiftyKEYZ. So the power is the same sort of thing. All right, who wants to have a chat about this first? Brooksy or Darren?
Well,
I'm happy to.
I think it's
go on, Darren, you go.
Yeah, well,
go, Darren.
Go on, Andy. Well, I've just say I got the NiftyKEYZ in its early days.
Yep.
And it was sort of like, well, yeah, I think you did as well, didn't you, Ranz?
Yeah, got it.
And it was like a really good case, you know, something that no one had sort of really done with the outs, and just been really nicely built. It had its fireballs, it had a few issues, and then obviously Arturia brought their cases out, and then people started bringing cases out. And now they've done it, like you say, where Waldorf sort of nowhere near to this extreme, but had the sort of key bed, didn't they, with the places to put your modular, and now they've gone and upped it and done a really good job on it. And yeah. And the great thing about it is it's just like you've got your keyboard, your modular synth. You can take your modulars out and create your different synths each time. I like it. It'd be one that I would actually get. I could fit it anywhere. Yeah, I think it's great. build your own little synth up. Yeah.
What are we looking at? 599 US.
$499 UK.
499 UK. 549 euro.
Yeah.
549 euro.
I go with that as long as the keyboard's at least decent, because I go with that because I mean you buy a Behringer, you buy a Dope thingy case, they're about £450 just for the square box case. So I go with that. Yeah, as long as it's a reasonable keyboard. I know it don't have to be the best in the world, but as long as it's at least a reasonable keyboard.
Yeah,
it seems to be from what the reviewers were saying. I mean, Andy Synth asked if it was a Fatar key bed. I don't think it is. But the people, I mean, Nick Bart and Robin both saying that the keyboard is perfectly decent, perfectly playable. I mean, I personally, I think this is just a no-brainer. I think it's a fantastic idea. And interesting, Manny, Dr. Synth in the chat said, wouldn't it have been nice if it had 160 HP and a 61 key? I don't think it will actually. Yeah, that was my reaction. I'd actually, come on, a $5. But keyboard players and this, I do think this is absolutely fantastic. I can straight away. I'm going, yep, this is really great. It does really take the basic idea of the Waldorf KB37 and build on it in a way which is really very, very usable. And I as a keyboard player, I understood Robin's comment about when you're into Eurorack, you sort of detach yourself from the keyboard, and then you go, I'm gonna stick a keyboard in it now, and I think, now I've bought that key step 37, and now I'm gonna get a thing, but it doesn't matter. I do think it's a really, really good product, and I don't think it's overpriced. One or two people yesterday in Pro Synth Network were saying they thought it was a bit overpriced. I don't.
Nah,
you get a good keyboard. You've got MIDI, you've got USB, you've got all the sort of your ins and out modules, the mults, the power supply, and everything else. And when you add all those different bits up, it's going to come to that price plus some in some instances. So I actually think it's. I think it's perfectly reasonably priced and well pitched.
Like I say,
and apparently it's built like a tank and heavy.
Basic cases. Just basic cases.
Yeah, David's saying,
like I said, the Dope for I can't remember what the 3-tier one that I've got here. That was about $450, and that's just a case, just a piece of wood case. So I don't. It's
a pill to swallow.
Arturia rack brutes are pretty pricey as well, and I don't think this is much different in the price to that. So you guys are right. I mean 112 HP is a pretty decent amount of space. It's actually bigger. Isn't that bigger than the Nifty case? Isn't it?
Good with my polygon.
It's bigger than the Nifty. Yeah.
Yeah, Nifty was 84, wasn't it, or 87 or something? Yeah, I really like this. Now I don't have any. So whoever watches the show and they think, these guys are being paid to say this. We aren't, right? We aren't. We're not sponsored by Cre8audio. Although I have actually reached out. I'd love it if they would, but I have reached out to them and they were more than happy for, obviously, for us to share the word because it's good promotion for them. And I also have reached out to Robin Vincent to share his video. So with everything that you see on here, we've had permission to show. Now, let's go and have a look at. I'm not really going to be playing Robin's video, but I'm going to use it as a tool just to sort of explore this, because this really has wet my whistle. And this show this week is about modular production, and this thing I think is really going to head us right in the right direction for modular production. As Brooksy rightly said, that he was talking about how Robin was talking about in his video, we kind of, as a modular Eurorack type of people. So let me grab this screen grab before. Thank you, David, for the $9.99. Much appreciated. Really, really nice of you to do that. Just want to grab that before we go back into this. So so what Robin was saying is we tend to sequence our modules, or we do some weird things with gates and all that sort of stuff. And the keys kind of tend to drift away from the Eurorack. It doesn't always happen. There's some people who've got MIDI to CV conversions and they do integrate that way. But this really does bring it back to just how difficult sometimes it is to create a proper synth voice. And as you can see here, he's showing the Cre8audio module called Captain Big O. That's one of their oscillators that they've got, which is a beautiful Pittsburgh modular inspired.
Yeah, it's Pittsburgh, isn't it?
Yeah. It's really got that Pittsburgh sound to it. Now you guys.
You know, I'm already building it. I'm just thinking a whole line of Insturo modules that look really nice in there. The black and gold.
Oh, wouldn't it? Yes.
Oh,
so
get your credit card out, Darren.
Just look at this screen though. But this screenshot, we can see the mod wheel, the pitch bend. We can see the arpeggiator, the latch button for the arpeggiator, which is also something that a lot of people forget to put on. Then you've got your 4 CV gates across the top there, which is just a thing of beauty to have. And this can be configured. We'll sort of scroll across on this video and you can see later that this can be configured to, you can see across the keyboard there's all that writing just above it, and there's a function key, which I think Robin gets to in a second. He talks about it here. So you can see the function key just underneath the mod wheel. You press that and all of those options across the top of the keys become stuff that you can set on there. So you can set anything from arpeggiator modes to mod wheels to time divisions to voicing to splitting your keyboard up to transposing. And I think there's a chord mode on the far right, which we can't see. And just across the top, above all that mess of cables, I just want to sort of mention that you've got the clock division, reset, multipliers, which are buffered. And then it's got a bit of a quirky output. So I mentioned before the headphone output's a bit quirky. Robin picked up that if you're using just mono output on this, it pans left, far left and far right on the headphones. So he's chucked in this a module on the, I forgot what the module was called. He did mention it in the video to, to sort of deal with the hard panning of left and right stereo. But you may not care about that anyway. It just depends on how you work with it. But as a whole, this thing looks like it's built really, really well. So yeah, that's the NiftyKEYZ, and I think it's a no-brainer.
It's a thumbs up from me. I've already designed what I want in it.
I think it's from us, from all of us. Who in the chat has
Definitely.
got the Waldorf Eurorack KB47? Is that what it's called? I forget what it's called. 37, yeah. So tell us in the chat if you've got the Waldorf one, and whether there's some pains with it. Now, before we move on to the next thing,
Cynthian's got one, hasn't he?
Yeah, Chris has got one. I don't think he's in chat though.
No, I don't think he is.
Before we move on to the next topic, I just want to mention one more thing. I heard that someone has said that they liked the idea of this, and then someone said they liked the idea of a KeyStep Pro, not KeyStep, KeyStep Pro, with a rack of eurorack space above it. So integrating a KeyStep Pro with that. So watch this space. One of these companies might take something like that on in the future. That would be.
It's
pretty
interesting that comment, Rans, because it's got the arpeggiator and stuff. I mean, personally, I could live without that, but would rather have a 4-channel step sequencer.
Exactly.
And that would be much more my task to take, so to speak. I mean, I've got nothing against arpeggiators. I just don't tend to use them very much. And I know you can configure it as a step sequencer, but it's not. You can't put in sort of rests and slides and that. So it's not as intuitive. And I was thinking it would be nice if they had included a more highly configured step sequencer. But I suppose that again, that's a price thing maybe, and also
absolutely
perhaps the hardware doesn't permit it to quite the same extent. But you're right, the idea of a KeyStep Pro type keyboard with the rack space above it is also a great idea, and I think a lot of people will be interested in that too. It's progressions, isn't it? It is. You put your basic idea out, and then you go, okay, we'll do this, and then people go, yeah, well, can't you put that in it as well? Or when I'd like one of those, and can't you sell me one that's got a load of four voice polyphonic modules in it from Deptford? You keep wanting more and more and more and more and more, don't you? Each step.
You do. Yeah. But that's the cool thing about synths, like we don't just bring one product out and everyone falls off the edge of the cliff. Do you know what I mean? Like progression. That's the beauty of this industry. It just keeps getting better and better, and that's why we can keep coming back each week with this show and showing, wow, look what's happened in 1 week. All this cool stuff's come out.
But I suppose if you keep going and keep going and keep adding and keep adding, then you turn around and go, well, why don't you just buy yourself a bloody Polybrute or a Prophet Rev 2 or something like that instead? You know, you're going, oh yeah. And then
or both.
It's well, yeah, exactly. Where do you draw the line as to what you're actually thinking of in your basic idea?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think I expressed that very well.
No, I kind of know what you mean, but like I'm always, whenever I hear someone have that argument, I know Andy, you don't actually really believe that. Like you're actually a true lover of Eurorack and modular. I always think to myself, there's no way that I could ever do half the stuff that I do if I wasn't venturing down the rabbit hole of modular. There is no way. Like it doesn't matter how many, pre-wired synths that are out there with as many patch modular matrices and stuff like that. It's not infinite. So for me, I mean, even with things like the Novation Peak, which is pretty amazing what it can do, and like you said, the Polybrute and things like that. There's still limitations to those, and that's that sort of comfort that I have. I know, well, there's no limitations to modular because I can. How many modules are on Modular Grid? It's insane, right?
Yeah, money, you're dead right. As long as there's a credit line.
As long as you know when to stop.
I don't do it on credit. I just save me pennies up, and when I've got them, I spend them.
Now, one thing I haven't done is I haven't done a graphic for this, and it's purely because I've been badly prepared for the show. But I'm going to do a graphic live for this particular part of the new segment, and that is we're going to go straight to this and then to this, and we are going to talk about this company here, Mutable Instruments. And I just want to really briefly talk about this because I absolutely love everything about Emily and everything that she has done over the years, and now I kind of feel we are coming to a close with these guys. From the announcement that was on Modular Grid or Electronauts, I forget which forum it was now. So basically what she's saying now is everything that's been earmarked for production once the stock has been distributed, that is it for any Mutable Instrument products out there. So someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what she wrote on she has a different username on one of these forums. I forget what it is. Someone will tell us in the chat. But anyway, look, let's celebrate this because we knew it was coming anyway with her. This is not brand new news, which she kind of hinted at this with the last model she brought out. She did say that was going to be the last one. So now she's basically saying, well, we've done the last module. Now we're going to stop production of everything. So one of the things I wanted to do, now this is purely just indulgence on my behalf, is I went out and found a used Clouds. I've always, this is really stupid. Like this really goes against the grain of what I do, but I just got it because I actually wanted to have a Mutable Instruments module itself made by them. Do you know what I mean? Like with the, this is a used one because you can't get Clouds anymore. So with the box.
I've got 5.
And the manual, and you know what? You get the box. When you get the box, inside the box, you get your little spinning top that's in here somewhere. Where has that gone? This is all the cool quirkiness things that you get with a Mutable Instrument. And I just wanted to celebrate it because I just think what an absolute genius she is. And the things that she's given us in the synth community, if I could, standing ovation right now for her. It's a send off with a salute.
Can I just say I've got 6 actually, not 5. I've got 6 Mutable Instruments.
We're not bragging though, are we?
I have stages, marbles, plats, rings, tides, and veils.
Yeah, they're really good too, and I don't need a Clouds. That's the point. I don't need one. I've got a clone version.
I've got a fake Clouds.
Yeah, I've got a fake Clouds called the Typhoon or whatever it's called. But there is a subtle difference between.
Well, mine's actually Clouds.
There's a subtle difference between them, and that is apparently the chips that they used on the reissues or fakes or clones or what do you want to call it are different to what she's used. So I'm kind of excited about plugging this in and finding out, is it going to sound any different? Or is it just going to sound the same because it's just algorithms at the end of the day? But for me, it was more about just that romantic having a Mutable Instruments module, we know that they're stopping. So is it going to be the Strymon, modules now? Like, they're going to start fetching some crazy prices now that she's stopping production? Or does everyone need to go out to all their favourite modular stores and buy the last bits of stock before they run out? I don't know. What do you think, Brooksy?
Well, I wasn't going to buy anything this month. I was actually going to wait, and now I think you've sort of hurried me along. I think I'm actually going to put a dint in the savings pot.
Ooh.
And I'm going to get a Platts. But the question is, I'm also going to I'll get another one. But what I'm not sure is whether to go for beads, which is the updated clouds, or to go for rings, which those are the three. Yeah, David, I think, was asking the top three.
I love my rings.
Yes, I'm sure you. Yeah, proper. Is it?
Well, let's have your top three.
Is it? Well, the top will be. I mean, I know I could order a Behringer brains, but I'm not going to. Like you said, I want the mutable one.
Yeah,
so I will order a Platts, and then I'm wondering is rings just going to go into the same territory as Platts to an extent, or
no?
Should I get or it's
no.
not? So I'd ask Darren then, seeing as you've got rings and. Did you say you've got Platts, rings, and clouds?
I've got them as well,
right,
in different
the clouds
formats.
Yeah, but I tell you a really good one, which is not a noise-making one, is stages, because that gives you either 1, 2, 3, 4. That gives you either 5. Oh, wait a minute. So either gives you 6 LFOs. You can have it as a 6-step sequencer, or you can have it as an envelope generator. It's amazing stages. It's very underrated, actually. You don't see it, and you can also link more than one stages together, so you can make that into as many stages as you want. The link from the back, but that is, if you have a quick look at that, it's a really good module. Don't make noises, but it gives you quite a lot of. You could have like 2 LFOs, a small envelope generator, or 2 LFOs and the other 4 as a sequencer, or you can just do it so many different ways.
Darren, what would your? I mean, this is going to have to make it hard for you because you've got 6. You said. So, what is your top 3?
Yeah. Top 3. I think rings, because I'm always plugging in rings.
Yep.
Marbles. I do like marbles.
Yeah.
If you want some just marbles. Platts is good, but it's a voice, so I think rings, marbles, and then I'm struggling. But I'd probably say stages, as it's a really unique multi sort of tool.
It's a toolkit.
It's not a sound generator. I think I'd go for that marble, stages, and rings.
Yeah.
But then you've got. But you see, I wanted beads, which is what's the other one? What's the filter? The newest filter they've had out. What's it called?
Yes, the double filter.
I'm forgetting the name of it.
No, not marbles. No, I was looking at it this morning as well.
Tides?
Oh no.
No, Tides is good, but that's not the one.
No.
No.
Oh,
I can't think of it. Ripples. Maybe. I don't know.
Is it?
All right, who wants my top 3? Because I've actually got
tiddly wings.
I've only got one mutable instrument module, actual mutable instruments, and that's the one.
Blades. That's it. Yes.
Blades. That's it. Yeah.
Blades.
So for me, my top module would be rings, and I've got the Ranzee clone of it, and I use it every single day. I just love what that thing can do. It's just so beautiful. It is just, I don't know. Like if you were to walk into one of those shops that sells all the mystic gear, the crystal balls and the crystals and the incense and stuff, I would imagine a rings module playing in the background. That's, to me,
yeah.
It's
put it through
just
some reverb and that's it.
It has just got that ambience about it that is just beautiful. You can just have it on a really low tempo and it's plucking away, and I just love it. Clouds is my favorite glitchy sort of reverb mangling type module. I just think it's very, very clever. I know that there's been so many things that have come out after that, but when you think about just the purity of it, of what it does, it's just, I can't sort of go past it. I just think it's very, very clever. And obviously I like the, I've got the Behringer Brains, which is the Plats, but I don't know. I mean, the Plats and the Brains are the same thing, basically. It's just a clone. So that would be my top three. But like everyone is saying right now, it's hard to actually come up with a top three, because maybe next week that would change, because she did some really, really, really good, really, really good stuff. The good news is all of it is all open source, so you guys can, who are clever with programming and making eurorack modules, you can go make your own. There's plenty of people that are doing that, like Synth over in Los Angeles and a few other places like that. So even Behringer are doing them. So yeah, it's not the end of Mutable Instruments, but it's a salute, I think, isn't it, guys? It's a salute to Emily, and she's not disappearing. Who knows what she's going to be up to next? Yeah, what a brain, hey? What a genius person she is. What an absolute genius. I think the only shame about it is that if she ever thought to herself, oh, I should make some money out of this, I don't think Eurorack was ever going to be that answer. You know, it wasn't going to make her a multi-billionaire type thing by selling Eurorack modules. But I think that's not her. She never really, if you ever talked or listened to things that she's ever said in you know, public forums, she'd never ever, it was never about the money, it was never about any of that. And that's why she open sourced her stuff. That's why she shared it. That's why she was open with development. And I think that was just such a pure way, such an honest way to be in the synth community. And I think she deserves the, you know, the honor of being one of the greats as a result of that. So thanks, Emily, and Mutable Instruments, of course. All right. Sorry about the noise in the background. Next one.
It's ambience.
Next one is Floyd Steinberg Mini DEXED. And I had a chat to him during the week, and he's a champion, this guy. He's really, really cool about sharing this. But basically, let's just quickly talk what this is. This is a Raspberry Pi project. If you guys are into that sort of stuff, you can go onto GitHub. And sorry, Brooksy and Darren, I actually didn't get a chance to put this stuff up on the show notes, so you guys are going to be flying blind a little bit.
It's fine.
But I did get his permission. I managed to do that at least, to show his video. So I'm gonna show it on here because I think it's going to be easier. Now we're not gonna show the whole 10 minutes or 9 minutes and a half or whatever it is. Just double check to make sure I've got audio. He does talk about this in a sort of very, where's my mouse gone? I can see it floating around the screen. There we go.
Hi, you're watching Floyd Steinberg's YouTube channel. Imagine you could take 8 classic 80s DX7 FM synthesizers and compress them into a Raspberry Pi the size of a matchbox, just like the original TX816 did in the 80s. Well, that's exactly what the open source project I'm going to talk about today is doing. And they do this by running this on the bare metal without an operating system. So if you're interested, please join me in this video and let's take a look at this.
Right, so we're not going to go into that level of detail, but what I will do is I will link that in. You guys can check that on the blog article later on. But guys, 8 DX7s, you know, how cool is that? In a little Raspberry Pi that you can control with MIDI, that you can, you know, cross-patch.
Pocket DX7.
Yeah, but 8 of them. Let's just have a quick look at the the that he needs, that you need, it's kind of somewhere around here.
It's a good job Robbie's standing in a queue somewhere because I got 8. I'm sure they're amazing. I'm sure it's wonderful. I like the idea, but the thought of building it myself, no way.
This is a project that you'd probably want your electronic mate to do. But these are the bits that you need: a breadboard, an LCD screen,
he's here, Robbie.
He's good. A Raspberry Pi. There's a whole bunch of
Stop talking about him.
There's a whole bunch of other stuff. But basically, once you get all of that up and running, you can then this whole Raspberry Pi boots off of this GitHub software, so you don't have to go programming or anything like that, and it literally starts working, and then you can start using your DX voices times 8. It's crazy. That whole Yamaha software and SysX and all that sort of stuff is all available to that. And what was that Yamaha thing that he mentioned? It was it took after the
TX816.
The TX816, yeah.
Great big 19-inch rack mounting box with 8 TF1 modules in it. And
yeah,
I mean, if it really does replicate that, it is actually really quite mind-blowingly wonderful. Because I think just one DX7, yeah. 2, 3, and I think there was a brilliant demonstration not long ago. I can't remember whose channel it was, of a TX816 with electric piano sound, but layered up so that and it just sounded so much nicer than that horrible plinky, just going, oh, that actually sounds fantastic. Was it Espen Kraft that I can't remember now. Anyway, so yeah, the idea of that is actually really very appealing. It is very appealing, but yeah, I don't think I've got the electronic skills to sort of cope with that. Somebody else would have to do it for me and stick it in a sensible box.
When you think about it,
Robbie, if you want to do it for me, because I'm sure you could manage it.
If he's managed to just, and this is kind of just like a tinkering with a breadboard and some software and a few electronic bits. If you got that in the hands of someone who can shrink some of this stuff down and make a nice case for it, this would be smaller than a Volca FM. When you actually think about it, This will be smaller than a Volca FM, and it will have 8 times the power of a Volca FM. That's what it will have.
Quite.
And it's free.
It puts have to buy your new Volca FM in a different light, doesn't it? If you can do that, and you've actually got 8 instances of a DX7 with 16-note polyphony on each one. And why is the Korg one only got 6 now? I mean, or even the original one only got 3.
Yeah.
Funny questions. There we are.
Yeah, I mean, he talks about in his video that you can, if you started to sort of work some of the bits, you'd be able to get it so that it would fit into a lot smaller sort of form factor, and everything is USB connected. So, I mean, it really just, Raspberry Pi's power off very little voltage, and, this whole thing would just be so portable. Yeah, he was using a nano key in the video too. To imagine if you actually had a proper 88 key keyboard with this, it would be insane. You could split it, just the craziness that you could go to, and then you could probably hide your Raspberry Pi in your 88 key MIDI controller somewhere. Just open up the key and just hide it inside it. So
quite if Robbie would let me have my KX88 back, then I could do that, couldn't I? Sorry, Robbie. I said I wouldn't mention it again, didn't I?
You did, yeah. He's jumping in the car right now and he's heading over. Yeah, I just thought that was cool. So links in the description, in the blog article, if you guys want to check that out. Floyd Steinberg, Mini DEXED. Now don't forget too, this is actually based on the DEXED VST. So we all know if you don't know what the DEXED VST is, you should probably get yourself it because it's free. That will give you pretty much a DX7 in your computer, and you can use DX7 patches on it. So not only is it a patch librarian for DX7s, it's also a VST synth for a DX7 as well. So that's where this has come from. Okay, not that one. Keep pressing the wrong buttons today. What about this thing? This thing.
Yeah.
I reached out to Teenage Engineering, and they said, like, fill your boots, basically, talk about it. Look, let's get the video lined up for this. Let me see if I can get this video lined up on here. I think it's this one. Yeah, it's definitely this one. All right. Let's go. Right, so what have we got here?
What a horrible noise.
We have got ourselves a really, really interesting little product that's popped out from Teenage Engineering, and I don't know if a lot of us actually were expecting them to do this, to be honest. And it's really, really weird what this has done in the synth community, and also the audio. There are people that are absolutely going goo goo gaga over this right now. They're going absolutely bonkers. I think this thing is amazing. It's incredible. And there's a whole bunch of other people who are going, well, hang on a minute. I can get myself, whatever, for half the price or quarter of the price, whatever, and I can do just about 90% of what this thing can do. I don't really get it. So what we need to do is we need to navigate our way through the differences between this and the other, don't we? Really, that's probably what we need to do. So what is this, guys? This is it's a mixer. It's a audio interface, multi-channel audio interface, USB class compliant. It'll plug into your phone. It will work straight out of the box. So if you've got an iOS device, an iPad or something like that, you've now got yourself multi-channel inputs and outputs on this thing. It has a synth in it. It has a sequencer in it. It has effects in it. It has a whole bunch of cool stuff, really, for what it is. Price tag, what was it, $11.99 US? That was kind of what they were asking for. Was that right? Yeah, $11.99 US for that one. Okay, so some thoughts. Gentlemen, what do you want to tell us about the TX6? I know I've just sprung this on you, but I'm sure you've seen it.
Go on, Darren.
I don't know what to say. I don't it's a Teenage Engineering. I don't know. It's the price as well. That's what I mean. I've never really got on board with the Teenage Engineering stuff. I didn't mind the look of the OP one. I don't like the look of the what's the is it the OPZ?
OPZ, yeah.
Yeah,
the little black that thing.
The pocket operators.
And obviously this is following in that. Yeah, this is I can't say. I mean, it might be brilliant, but it's just I don't know. I can't.
Battery powered.
Andy, I'll put it over to you, Andy.
Brooksy.
Oh, thank you. Well, I just think
a bit of a
you'd spend 1,200 quid on it and then lose it down the back of the sofa and wonder why your 1,200 quid had gone.
I
mean,
sit on it and break it.
You guys are such positive bundles of
No, I actually think there's something about this that makes me go, this is just genius, brilliant, fantastic.
Yeah,
I'd lose it. And yeah, and to use Nerlies. I mean, look at them. Let's go scroll it back down, Ranz. See that thing at the bottom? That's a headphone adapter. You're using bloody Nerlies as your potentiometers. I mean, it's like, man, what?
It's small, but how small is that screen then?
It's tiny. It is really,
really
really tiny.
Stamp.
Oh yeah, it's tiny.
You know,
those knobs are like Vulcan knobs on there.
Yeah, you got no chance, Darren. Sorry.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yep. But have a look at the features of this thing. Have a look at the features of this, right? It's got the kitchen sink. It's got battery power, synthesizer, sequencer, 8 built-in effects, quality. I don't know what to tell you. Wireless connectivity, so it's got Bluetooth. I need to check a bit more about the wireless stuff because sometimes they say it and they don't really sort of know exactly what they've got themselves into.
Super slim line.
Yeah,
cable.
the super slimline cables is
interesting. It can't be any slim line as it is.
Are they supplied then? Because I mean, some mini jacks, you plug one in and they're taking up so much room you can't plug another
Well,
one in.
I'll show you
That
the
was one of the
cables.
problems with the Bitbox thing,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
I'll show
There'll
you
be
the
micro
cables.
jacks that you can't get from anywhere.
So these are the
that's-
inputs, right? USB-C. A lot of people will be happy about that because they hate USB Mini and
Yeah.
USB Micro. So there's the 3.5 inputs. So they are 3.5 millimeter audios. You've also got the aux out and Q out and main out, where your Nerly is, Brooksy. These are all the kind of crazy screens that you see. And these are the accessories. So you can get a little bag, you can get a strap, you can get a slimline cable, you can get these interesting looking cables as well. I just want to get that bag because I just want to be hip, ride my bike and have a stack on my bike and crash it. But
yeah. There's something about it.
You've got to give it to them. Really,
you do, yeah.
Yeah,
1,200 quid.
Really.
Oh my word!
I know.
Look, let me be perfectly honest. If someone said to me,
it looks a great product, but
get this because this has got some cool things. I can see some use case where this thing would actually be really, really useful. For example, if you had some sort of Bastel on the park bench set up, Darren, and all of a sudden all your Bastel mates turned up, and there were 6 of them, and all of a sudden now you're multi-tracking. You've just having a Bastel 6-party jam. Yeah.
And then I'm there with some big glasses, magnifying, so I can see what the hell's going on.
If you want to see some funny stuff, I haven't got permission to show it because I didn't get a chance to ask. But go on to Synth Memes on Facebook and have a look at the memes on this. It's brilliant.
Some sort of plastic.
It's brilliant.
Sure. Yeah.
The memes are going nuts on this one. Look, on a serious note, I actually do really highly rate teenage engineering stuff. I used to be an owner of an OP1. Unfortunately, the OP1 had to be sold to pay for the software that you guys are enjoying for this show, and that was the life of the OP1 in my house. But I don't know, maybe this might be a cool thing. I kind of wouldn't mind getting my hands on one and just having a play with it. There's no store.
I think it's a cool thing. Don't get me wrong. I think it's a cool thing. Then even for the small art, it's aluminium. It's it's great. It's just. No, it's not for me, I don't think. Unless I'm going from the park bench live tour.
Your jams, yep. Your 6 mates with the Bastles, yep. I think that's the way to go.
Just going around all the major cities.
Yes. We do have something to show a bit later on. Brooksy just mentioned in chat. So don't worry about that. We'll get to that. There. So we finished with that. And then we go like this. Boom! And it's revenge of the Swedish companies today, isn't it? Hey, Elektron Syntakt. Syntakt. Is it like syntax? Syntakt.
Well, no, like Digitact.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the Digitact.
I like the name. I like it. It's good. We knew they were making this because someone leaked that they registered the trademark or something for it about a year ago. So we knew they were going to make it, and we could have almost bet money that it was going to look like a Digitact, right? Because that was a pretty good form factor. They were pretty successful with that, and lo and behold, we knew they were going to make the Syntakt, and it was likely going to look like a Digitact. And guess what it is? If it quacks like a duck, it flies like a duck. It's probably a duck. This is definitely not a duck. This is very interesting. What would you guys call this? A drum machine? I think we should probably call this a drum machine, right? Less than, maybe not so much a groove box, probably more like a drum machine. What would you guys say?
Probably, go that way. I mean, I've never ever used any Elektron stuff, so
yeah,
it's hard to say. I know some people. I think it's one of those that people either love it or you don't get on with it and you don't like it. And I've never really got to grips or used it, so I can't really, I can't put my verdict on Elektron stuff, but I'm sure it'll sell hotcakes because you get that Elektron family. They'll want it.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you, but at the same time, I'm interested in this. And
I'm
this
against
is
you.
what Elektron does to us. They do this to us. They've got some sort of secret sauce. Look at their arty videos that they do. You know, that's half of the intrigue with this, isn't it? So they're calling it a drum computer. I think if you were to get a bowl, and you're in the kitchen, right, and you got your wooden spoon, and you get a bowl, and you were to put sort of a whole bunch of Elektron products that have come out in the past, like the machine drum and the rhythm and the analog 4 and the digitact, and put it all together and kind of mix it, I think you'd come out with this. Would you guys agree? This is kind of what that is, isn't it? It's a merge of everything that they've done good.
Yep, I think it sounds great.
Go on, Andy.
I think it's a dead sensible idea. I like. I'd like to know more about it. Actually, I just was under the impression that it was going to be like an analog 4, but shrunk down. But that seems not to be the case.
No.
But yeah, I'd like to find out more about it. I don't know enough at the minute. But for once, it was like, oh, this could be. Is this going to be a gateway to Elektron? No, it's not. Probably not. But I do think it's a. That demo sounded great. The sounds sounded marvelous. Jim said he thought the snare sounded like ass. I'm not sure whether that was a compliment or not.
He's been playing with his Volkers too much.
No, he's got a whole room full of Elektron stuff, hasn't he?
I do think really, if you were to give this, you know, a label, it really probably is more of a drum machine than anything. And if you look at the demos that have come out, that's pretty much what you're hearing from this. But it does have some interesting elements to it, you know. And so even in here, they do talk about
from the analog rhythm and model,
the model cycle.
The model cycle, so FM.
Yeah. So it is really a merge of a whole bunch of their products that they've done in the past. And I don't know, there's a few people in the forums that are talking about that, you know, this has stepped on the toes of previous products. And I don't know, I don't get when people get all grumpy about stuff. I think there's going to be some generation of people that will jump into Elektron, and the Syntakt will be their first go at it. And I think the Syntakt it's really going to be something that they'll enjoy. If it's got the similar sort of workflow to what the Digitact had, I think it'll be a lot better than some of their earlier products, because the sequencer in the earlier days was a bit more convoluted to use. Some people completely got it, and some people completely didn't get it in the old. Whereas I think the Digitact had a little bit more of a mainstream appeal to it. So I think that's going to be good. One thing I will say, and because I'm an Elektron owner, I own an Analog 4 and I own a Octatrack Mark II, the sound that comes out of the back of Elektron stuff is absolutely first class. It is really, really high-end quality. So, you know, you buy some gear and it can sound a bit lo-fi, or it can sound a bit thin or noisy or whatever, but I always feel that I'm in good hands with Elektron sounds. It's just beautiful sounding stuff.
How often do you use any Elektron stuff?
Not as often as I'd like to be honest. It often, for me, it often sort of sits on the verge of, I'm not using enough, shall I sell it, you know, to pay for gear? Or it's not because I don't love it, and I do, it's because I just don't get a chance to use it as much. You know, there's only so many hours in a day, and you've got other projects going on. It's one of those things for me. $949 is the price, by the way, if you're wondering. If anyone was asking about the price. And it is available now, except they're sold out. So the first round went to all the YouTubers, I think. I don't know who went to. But people that do really cool videos, probably that's where they went. So I'm being a bit of a cynic here.
That's the price of a Force, an Akai Force, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit less Akai Force, I would say. A little bit less. But yeah, around that. Well, I think you could probably do a lot more in an Akai Force though. But we're talking about completely two different.
No, it's just
two different.
Yes, I was just thinking out loud there. I was just.
You're still thinking about an Akai Force, I know. You don't need it. You don't need one. You've got Ableton. You're fine. You're not going anywhere in that studio. You're completely fine using Ableton.
Oh, thanks. I knew it was bad, but God, jeez.
But no, that's what I'm saying. Like you're with an Akai Force, if you're thinking about like sort of expanding what you're doing, no, unless you haven't told me something I don't know about, like you found a new studio or something, that's a different thing, right? But if you're staying where you are, in that workspace that you're in, the Ableton is completely fine for you because you're sitting at that desk. You're not really needing to, add another piece of gear that, Ableton can already do what everything in Akai Force can do. The only difference is that you don't have pads and everything laid out as a controller, but you could make that with the other gear you've got, right? Do you have a push? I can't remember if you had a push or not. Yeah, so there you go.
Yeah, I have the push too.
Yeah.
So
that's what I meant.
I've basically got a Force in a way.
I mean, I would love it if you were successful and built a 7,000 square foot studio and told Martin Gore to get lost out of it and took it over, whatever. And that I reckon that would be amazing. But you haven't said that to me, so I'm just assuming that you're staying where you are, right? I'm backpedaling badly here. Help me, Andy. Don't help me. You'll come down with the ship. Trust me. Okay. Are we done with the news? Then. Yeah, say nothing. We're done with the news. Yay, we're finished. That's it.
Yes, I could use it on a park bench.
You could.
We're going to have to ban that comment.
What comment?
Bloody park benches.
Oh. Why?
No reason. No reason.
You're just jealous.
Wait till you see Rave Dev on a park bench.
You're jealous that you don't get invited to park benches. That's what it is. That's what it is.
How do you know?
I don't. I'm purely ad-libbing here. Okay, now we God help me. We need to stop that from playing. Right. The video went to another video. Okay. I don't have a price watch this week because I haven't had a chance to do it, but I thought what we do is we go straight into this segment. Ooh. And I've actually got some really good news. We have got a sponsor for this segment, and I am going to very, very badly show you who that is in a second. Let me just see if I can get this up and running while I talk to you. Anyway, if you're wondering what this Name That Synth segment is because you're new here and you're watching the show for the first time, it is a little bit of a kind of a game that we play on this show every week, well, hopefully every week, where you have to try and guess what the synth is that's going to be playing through the live stream. Now, what you'll see on the screen may trick you and your eyes might deceive you, but I can guarantee you it is visuals that may have been slightly obfuscated or whatever it is, but it is actually the synth that you're looking at. You need to be able to guess what it is by using your ears. You've got two of them, or hopefully you've got two of them. Some people might not. Right, now, the segment has actually been brought to us by this company here, which I'm going to bring up their wonderful website, and we're going to share it with everyone. Just waiting for the internet to load. There we go. Yes, we are sponsored by Plugin Guru. And the good news is that the winner of the Name That Synth will actually be getting a prize from Plugin Guru, thanks to John, which I think is absolutely really generous of them and amazing and everything. So let me just tell you what the prize is, just in case you don't know. Where are we? Where are we? There we go. The prize is going to be Unify and Cloud City V1 and Noise Box. All right. And what we might do is we've got some videos here. We might give them a bit of a plug. What do you reckon? Let's go to Unify. Yeah, because these guys, pretty brilliant. Pretty damn brilliant, I should say. Come on, here we go. So there is Unify itself. If you don't know what Unify is, it is an amazing bit of gear if you're into doing stuff with your synths, where you like to sort of, wouldn't it be nice if I could bring a whole bunch of VSCs from different manufacturers in together and manipulate that into my synth and then manage patches? And this is what this can do. And you're looking at $79 US for that. And I can't think of the... While we're doing the video, I will bring up another video of this in a minute and show you guys a bit more about Unify and some of the other things that he's going to bring in to it. But let's get the Name That Synth ready and fired and going. We'll do that first because that's going to be fun. How it's going to work is if you are the person that has sent the video in and nobody guesses it, you will get the Plugin Guru prize. If you are the person that gets it right, the first person in chat to get it right, you will get the Plugin Guru prize, and I'll send your contact details off to Plugin Guru and they can arrange it directly with you, the prize. How cool is that? I reckon that's pretty cool. Doesn't give me anything, so there's no promotion or benefit to my channel other than the fact that you guys, because you're all nice and you're always here, will get access to that. All right, we're ready to go? Chatties ready? Let's go.
Muted. Muted, Ranzee.
Sorry, I just said that ended abruptly. That's all I said. Wow, let's see if anyone's guessed it. Okay, we'll give them a few seconds to see if they know what it is. And
What a sound, says Mac. Yeah.
Okay, let me have a quick look. Let me have a quick look. All right.
Big slab of gorgonzola.
Okay, so I'm looking at the live chat and some people are very warm. Maybe someone's got it. I don't know. I'm going to end now. So at the moment that I start pressing this button here, no more entries. So Cre8aud's the last one. And here we go.
Oh, what? No.
Always miss it on the last second.
Never even heard of that.
There it is. There it is there. The Yamaha Tone Generator MU5. Who guessed it? Nobody. Crickets absolutely fooled all of you. And no, this wasn't done by me. Guess who this was done by? If you can guess.
Eddie.
Eddie, yes. And Eddie's not actually in the chat, but guess what Eddie wins?
He was. Yeah, he is.
Oh, he is?
No, Eddie's there.
Oh, he's in there?
Yeah, he is.
Guess what Eddie wins?
Bragging rights.
Not just bragging rights. Well, he's gonna get that. That's for sure. He wins the Plugin Guru prize for this week. So Eddie,
okay,
be in contact with me, mate. I will put you onto Plugin Guru, and you have got yourself some nice software for your computer.
If you contribute one and you defeat the viewers, you get the prize.
Everyone's a winner.
Good idea. Right, come on, folks. Get off your asses and send
So you may want to send a video in, because that might be an easy way for you to win. All right? But nobody in chat got it, and we were watching.
Well done, Eddie.
Well done, Eddie. So this is what you've got.
I've
you got
never
yourself...
even heard of an MU5.
either had I, but anyway.
I didn't even know one existed.
I've got an MU, but it's an MU 1000 or something.
No,
we'll talk about the prize later. No, you don't. You should never ever feel bad. Never feel bad. So this is Unify, and what else has we got? These are all the other products that he offers over in Plugin Guru. So let's give him a nice plug, because he is giving us access, to these products for free, and I think it's a lovely thing to do. So let me just see if I can. Give me a sec. We'll go here. I'm going to see if I can tee up a video from his channel, because I did promise him I'd show a little bit. Now, go to here. Stop that. Is there a watch on YouTube thing? Come on. Why do you do this to me? Why do people have to do things hard? Give me an option to just click on it so I can go to YouTube and watch it. There we go. All right, now let's go to his channel. He's got a really decent amount of subscribers now on his channel. Okay, lots of live streams. Lots of live streams. Let's pick, there we go, Unify 1.8 is here. Let's watch a little bit of that, give him a plug. Here we go.
This is what you want.
I haven't messed up yet.
There's John.
Yeah. Hi. Welcome to a new video. My name is John Limcool, also known as John Skippy Limcool. Hands together, head bowed. Welcome. Hey, this is Unify 1.8. And this is one of the bonus patches that comes with the library. Shouldn't call them bonuses, because they all just, they automatically are included with the library. But there's 625 patches inside of the factory voicing that I have done, or that Airwave is assisted with. A couple other people have made patches in here as well. An image that's in the library's media folder. And let's do this. Let me show you the whole list of everything added. We have the key zones, linked media. We have instrument titles automatically track the name of the instrument preset. What that means is that if you go and you load an embedded Unify of this patch by right click, and it's bass growl. If I double click and I go in here and I choose a different patch, Dirty FM, this changes to say it's Dirty FM. It also will register the name of this patch in your DAW. So it's really, really handy to have that functionality.
I think we'll definitely we'll go into a lot more detail and check out Unify more in very, very near future. I think we'll get John back on the show. He's been on before, talk about it. But I think that's a really cool prize, because it wasn't just Unify that you get. It was also, I've lost my little screen, which I had it on there. Give me a second. It was also, where is it? Cloud City V1 and Noisebox. So you get the 3 bits of software from him. And believe me, I've got Unify as well. Don't use it anywhere near as much as I should, probably because I'm not so much into the VST world. But I reckon if I was more into the VST world, it would be something that I would use probably every day, because it's just one thing that I find about using multiple different VSTs. It can be a bit clunky having them all sort of in different folders and stuff like that. This really just helps you and does a massive load more than what I'm just saying, by the way. So big thanks to John from Plugin Guru, and also Eddie for the Name That Synth. Well done. Well done. What are the chatties saying? We haven't seen much. Are they all throwing their synths at the screen? I haven't noticed. First time I win anything online, says Eddie. Well, there you go. It was worth. He did a lot of those videos. You have to admit, he's probably the front runner. By the way, if you hadn't noticed that, Oleg's in chat, Grey Wolf 2004 RU is in there. He's the creator of Blue Up. He actually says that Blue Up is included into the factory library as well. So there you go. Eddie, when you do get this off John, you'll actually, if you haven't got Blue Up, you'll get that as well as a bonus. So there you go. Isn't that cool?
Asio's just said he threw his plug in at the screen.
And it went... Right. Where are we up to? We're done. We haven't done a price watch this week because I don't think there's anything that I've got to add for this week. It was a bit quiet in the eBay scam world. Yeah, we already did those ones last week. We did the Jamox. That was cool last week, actually. There was some really good things last week, and I just think it's almost too hard to top. We had the ARP 2500, remember, last week? That was amazing. That was incredible, seeing something like that sell. By the way, does anyone know anyone who actually has an ARP 2500? Not so that I can go around to their house and rob them, but I actually wouldn't mind someone putting me in touch with someone.
Do we know of anybody who has one?
Yep, I would love it.
I know. Well, Hans Zimmer has one, and Kent Spong's in touch with him, and Vince
Someone
Clarke
other than
has
him.
one.
Someone other than him.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, no, Jean-Michel Jarre has one.
Then again, I may be able to talk to Hans because I actually do know many people that know him. I don't know. We could probably get it to work, but. If anyone does know anyone that's reasonably easily approachable and they're friends with them, send them. Talk to me later off the show. We'll talk. I don't want to bother them too much. I just want to ask them some questions, and it will be related to some projects that I'm doing right now here on the channel, and that all of you guys will benefit from. It's literally just it's a knowledge thing.
Aphex Twin has one. Jack Dangers has one.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Well, if you know these people and you can get in contact with them and they don't mind getting asked a few questions, and it's not going to be many. It's just a very small amount of questions. Let me know through my socials on the About page on YouTube. You can access that, or through Discord, which we forgot to promote, didn't we, guys? We always forget to promote Discord. Is it this one or this one? Where's my Discord? That's Twitter. That is Discord. That one there. Do not forget Discord. If you haven't got Discord, get it. It's free. It's not a scam. I don't know why people aren't on Discord. It's the coolest, non-invasive, no advertising in it type of way of chatting to people ever. Anyway, a whole bunch of chat things have just come through. Wagoo, you could ask Kent the questions. Yeah, I'll probably ask him. I probably will. That would probably be the way I'd go about it. Since
and as Head, I don't really know Aphex Twin. I've met him once on a bus, on his tour bus. That's all. And we had a chat for about 20 minutes. I don't think that makes us busy mates or anything. And I don't have his phone number or his email address. So sorry.
And you haven't been. You didn't go for a spin in his Lambo.
That was probably pre-Lambo days. I think that was the days when he had a tank. Apparently, I'm not quite sure whether that was true or not.
He probably hates me because every time I used to joke about like buying a CS80, I used to joke about putting it in the back of the Lambo, and I reckon he would have said, "You're talking about me, aren't you? I know you're talking about me." And I wasn't. I was just like purely thinking, what would be the most bizarre thing you could ever do with a synth purchase? And that would probably be it, wouldn't it? Like buying a CS80 and chucking it in the back of your Lambo. Yeah. Just think of the memes that will come out of
borrow
that.
his GX1. Stop it. I'm not his busy pud.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not.
You are, and you're not letting up. That's the thing. You're playing hide and seek, and everyone's onto you. That's what's happening. Right. Okay. We are going to get on with the main part of the show today, which someone suggested in Discord. Actually, I should get Discord up and thank the person who suggested this topic. We'll give him credit. It wasn't the only person that suggested it, but we'll give him credit because he was the most recent person to push it. And that was a guy who's in our Discord server called Darius. He was the guy that suggested we should be doing a show about production of modular. So if you've got modular gear, look at Andy's stuff there, right? There's a picture of Andy in all his glory, and just to his left is all his modular gear. And the question a lot of people are asking is, how the friggin' hell do I record this stuff? How do I make a track?
No idea.
What do I do?
Take a stereo out, press record.
Do I just do doorless jams? Is that all I do? and become a meme. So no, we're not going to do that to Andy. That wouldn't be nice. That would be a bit horrible. What I do want to do though is I do want to get my camera working. And, oh no, is my little thing not working? Oh, it is working. Oh, that's weird. Okay. Wow, that's making a bit of mess. I'm trying to move my little camera thing. Okay, so this is the stuff that we're talking about, people. This is the stuff we're talking about. I'll move the clouds out of the way. It's a bit cloudy today. Not really. Mutable clouds. So what are you going to do with all this stuff and record it and stuff? What most people would probably want is kind of just a bit of guidance. I think we'll start today with just sort of starting from the basics and like Darren's used Eurorack, Andy's used Eurorack, I've used Eurorack, so I think you're in good hands because what we're going to talk about today is not going to be anything sort of high-end production going into using a Neve console and recording, you know, your #1 chart Billboard top one. Well, you might. I don't know. That good on you if you do. But I think we need to start off with the basics before we even talk about recording. What do you reckon would probably be like if you were just starting off with the basic bunch of modules, Brooksy and Darren? What would you recommend? I mean, here we go. Here, a couple of modules, right?
Oh, blimey!
What would you recommend? What would you start off with? If you had a couple of synth voices,
we went down this when Andy was first getting into it, and we was trying to give him what was the best modules to start off with.
Yeah, I know.
Not the best.
So Andy,
so
what did you find?
Doesn't have to be the best.
I do think.
Well,
I was talking about this actually.
Yeah.
I was talking about this yesterday, obviously with the kids in school, about how you get into it, how you start, because they'll go, all this stuff and all the the money and actually. Yeah, for kids, it's almost prohibitively expensive. But I was trying to say that you don't go out and buy all of this stuff all at once. This is stuff that I have collected over years. I mean, since I was their age. I bought my first synth when I was 15, and so on and so on. And you graduate a bit more and a bit more, and you sell and you trade and buy new ones. And I mean, with the eurorack, I mean, what I started with? I started with the Model D and the 960 sequencer. And to do a specific thing. And once I realized I could do that specific thing, I realized I needed other things to help me with it. So then but my recommendation would be 2 modules, basically. It would be the Behringer 110 and the 141 envelope and LFO.
Mm-hmm.
The 140. Yeah, the 140. Those 2 modules make a perfectly good single oscillator synth voice which you can learn how to patch the stuff and trigger it, and that is a really good starting point. But there are loads of other ways of doing it, and that's the problem, isn't it? That's the real problem with eurorack. Yeah, or you could just buy your threes, and then you need an output module, and then you need the other bits. But yeah, have you got you showed a 110 a minute ago, didn't you?
Yeah, I think it's just up here. There it is.
Yeah, that one, that module, because you've got oscillator filter amplifier tied with the 140 dual envelope generator and LFO. You've got no noise, you've got no portamento or anything like that, but you've got a very basic synth voice which sounds really good.
Yeah. Yep. But I think going forward from that, I kind of feel like that people would already have this, right? So I'm kind of going to the next step. Yeah. The next step is basically once you've got at least a synth voice, a filter, some other stuff, effects, things like that, you want to record it, right? So the first thing that Andy alluded to it partially with this, the first thing that you must have no matter what is some sort of VCA. And if you don't have a VCA, you don't need a VCA, but I would strongly recommend you do have a VCA. And a VCA of any sort doesn't have to be like that. I mean, there's a VCA in that grey module, the 110 there on the right-hand side, you can see it. Or it could be a VCA on its own right. Like, for example, the, what did we say it was, Brooksy? We said it was the 130 or something, the VCA. Where is it? Down here somewhere?
The VCA, the dual VCA.
Yeah, there is the 130. That's the VCA there. So that's a module. Hang on a sec.
Yeah.
That's a module inside right that just does VCA. So, but really, what's another word for a VCA? No one? Another name for a VCA? Well, it's the last letter of it. It's an amplifier.
An amplifier.
It's an amplifier. And basically, you've got to get the sound out somehow. So if you don't have that, that's probably what I would recommend. The first point, it sounds really stupid and basic, but there are people that don't have VCAs. And they think, what do I do? Because they've used something else to get the sound out. They've gone straight into their synth, or they've gone straight into their audio interface or whatever. And some people do this as well. They'll go straight into a mixer. And it doesn't have to be a eurorack mixer, right? It could be any type of mixer, but they'll go straight into a mixer. So I would definitely recommend, no matter what, having a VCA before you go into any sort of output to record, because your VCA is going to give you so many options of modulating the sound, and it might be to shape it with an envelope, it might be to gate it with a trigger on a gate or a sequencer, or it might just be to control the volume using gain controls and attenuators. So there's the real three basic things that you can do just with a VCA. And then you bring it into your mixer. Once you bring it into your mixer, then you can bring it into your audio interface. So I just kind of wanted to start off the basics because I didn't want to sort of miss that, because people go, oh, but you forgot to mention this. So for me, once you've got your audio going through some sort of VCA and then going into a mixer, you can then get it into your audio recording. It doesn't have to be a DAW, by the way. It could be that you want to put it into something else, like, if I can find I might have to use the remote control. An MPC, Brooksy's got one there. Let's go to Brooksy for a sec. On the right of Brooksy there, he's got an MPC one, okay? And he can plug his eurorack's output into the line input on his MPC one there. And he can record just the stereo mix of that. And it doesn't necessarily mean that's a bad thing, because he might think, well, I've done everything I need to do, so I'm going to just use that. I'm going to record that. I'm done. I've done everything I need to do. I've got mixers, I've got filters and effects, and everything's done. All I need to do now is just record it, and his MPC can do that. Or he could also put it into his DAW if he wanted to. Or he could use a recording device like a Zoom recorder or something like that. It doesn't have to be a DAW, but some sort of way to track record it. But I
Done
think
all of the above.
I think a lot of people don't want to just do the two left and right, the two channels. They just want to. I think that the whole point of asking about your modular, production is to go that extra step and work out, well, what if I want to multi-track? What if I want to sample? What if let's talk about some of the other more sort of the next stage, the more tricky bits that tend to sort of trip a few people up. Darren, I just want to go to you for a sec because I know the way you operate with your setup. You quite often multi-track and sample to produce your tracks. So do you want to just walk through that a little bit with them?
On my modular side, which I haven't used for nearly 12 months.
But you did.
I thought you'd say that. I did. Well, yeah, because obviously I used my modular, which I will be getting back into. So don't worry about it, folks. I'm just changing the way I'm going to do things. But I would use it as just basically as a sound source. So I wasn't multi-tracking so much with the modular because it'd just be it'd be going into straight out of my what have I got on here? My output on the modular straight into the mixer, and then obviously sampling what I wanted to do out of it that way, and then creating my library up that instance. But the way I will be doing it is now I have this mixer on this side, which you can see down here. The space, I'll have to get a camera so I can spin it round. The space on this side where my modular sits and my rack mount, I will be getting, it will be going into a sort of sub-mixer, so I'll be able to do multi-tracking, which will be going into, I'll be sub-mixing all my sounds from the modular to take it into the DAW at some point via a sub-mixer. That's the plan on how I'm going to do things. Was that what you're meaning?
Yeah, and then once you get the sound in, I think we're gonna talk about that.
I can't turn it down, Steve.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I think we'll talk about that in a sec. Once you get the sound in, that I definitely know they want to hear about the next stage. So I'll come back to you with that, like once it's in the box or once it's in the, in the machine or the recorder or whatever. So we'll go to that stage next. So the sub mixer is a good idea. So for those who don't really know, what's a sub mixer? I know what it is. I'm not asking for myself, but what's a sub mixer and what is the benefit of a sub mixer, Darren?
Well, I can't remember. I think it was it Robbie who made? I'm trying to think who said that. No, it might be Andy Synthetics about getting small sub mixers, because obviously this Mackie desk here, if I was to add all these instruments in the room, even that was not going to fit. All the outs of this is just not going to cope. So sub mixer is just my way of getting all my, I don't know how many sound sources are going to be coming out of the modular, but say 10 for instance, still sub-mixing it down into this one mixer, or even straight into the audio interface, so I can combine everything. But then I've got my single sounds that I can separate off as I sample them, rather than just have just the two stereo pairs coming out.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. I know it does in my mind. I don't know if it's coming out clearly.
No, that's perfectly fine. So the whole point of the submixer is so that it actually may be an economical way of doing it. So instead of having to go out and find a 64 channel mixer,
channels.
Yeah, you can aggregate.
That's because I don't know whether, because I think, Andy, you do it in a different way, because you're obviously jamming and things like that. You're going to have a different style, because I like I say, I just using mine as a sound source to create my music, whereas Andy, he'll be using it more even live, so he'll be doing it in a different sort of way.
He does a bit of both.
Well, in the jams that Grace and I have done, I've had it as sometimes 3 sort of different sounds, so to speak. Well, there's the drums, So I've used the BeatStep Pro, excuse me, to control drums and percussion. The similar to Territas Alta. I sometimes use that to actually trigger the steps on the 182 is it step sequencer, because otherwise it just goes 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. You can send the triggers out one, and you can have different rhythms. You can create different rhythms from that just on one of the drum gate outputs. It's great. It's really flexible doing that. And then I've also used the KeyStep 37 to play a synth sound, like a lead line and stuff like that. And then they're all mixed. On the left hand side of that rack, there's actually a 12 input mixer, 4 mono, 4 stereo. It's a bit overkill really at the minute, but they're there and they work, and that makes it flexible. Because in that I've also got the effect sends set up to reverb and delays. It just makes it simple. It just makes it simple, and take the stereo output of that and pump it into whatever recording device I choose. I mean, and I've actually used that setup to create some samples and things as well. So that's how I do it. I've not got into sort of heavy multi-tracking, but now I'm sort of scratching my head, because thank you very much, Mr. Spong. He sent me this M-Audio interface that I've got here, which has got 8 inputs on it. So 8 inputs and then 8 digital outputs, so which the DAW recognizes it. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. You can recognize them in stereo pairs, however you want to configure it and stuff. It's really very flexible, but I've not got to the point where I'm actually wanting to do big multi-track versions of it. I'm going to do one at a time, maybe. But I know I sense, Ranz, that you're probably going to go into what you can use in Eurorack to spit out multiple outputs to your computer.
I'll handle the multi-track. Yeah.
I knew you were going to talk about that. I haven't got that, so I won't say it. So
no, that's fine. But the fact is that if you don't have multi-track, if you don't have a facility to multi-track at the same time, most people won't. And so let's before we start talking about the more advanced multi-tracking and stuff, let's talk about the workarounds with I mean, Darren talked about submixing. You talked about be able to sample stuff or just record this, the stereo output of your entire sort of production thing. One of the other things I do is I use the little mixer that I've got in my Eurorack, and Andy, you can do the same thing, and Darren, you could use your big mixer to do that. But I use the mutes on it. So at the bottom of each channel, I've got these little toggle switches. And why don't I just get something sounding anyway, just for shits and giggles? I think this was the stuff that was happening last week anyway, so there's nothing new here. This is just my little jam last week. All right, so we need to bring some... Is that coming through?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Now we need to get the sequences going. All right, so let's say I just wanted the dissimilars. That's all I wanted, right? And also I want to take all the effects off of that. So I would take... So that would just be the dry signal of the bacillus now. And I could record that into my DAW, and I'll show you how I do that right now by going boom. So that's the channel that it's coming in here on my DAW. You can see it here coming through. And all I have to do is just arm that channel and literally, there it is there, it's coming through. So now just using a DAW, I have sampled that one synth Eurorack sound, and it's going to be painstaking. You could do it this way. That's kind of not how I do things, but I could, and it's actually really not that bad. I said it's painstaking, but it's really not as bad as so. I probably shouldn't have said that.
No, that's the way I do a lot of it.
Yeah, it's
not painstaking. It's quite
yeah. So what you do is you've built all your sounds up right in this particular thing. Let's say that's the got all different sounds here. That's the rings. But you may not want to record the dry sounds of that. You may want to record it with the effects, because I've got eurorack effects modules on here. So you would add those in, and you record, just basically record whatever you want on each. And you may want to do part by part by part. And in this particular case, there's only, what is there, 6 or 8? I think there's 8. There's 8 different synth sounds or noises that are coming through my eurorack at this particular sort of setup that I've got now. I could do a lot more, but I'm just saying what I've got sequenced and everything. There's 8 different sounds. You can go through them all. So you've got, we've done the rings, we've done the bissimilus, we've got the, that's the Rachel and the 1110 voice. And then I've got, don't know if it's working. Ooh. There should be a strike fit coming through there, but it's not. I don't think it's working right now. And then there's drums and basses. And that's the Model D there. You can tell because I can change the filter to different. Glitchy sort of sound. So you can just progressively mute and just record all of those things, as I showed you before. So that would be one way of doing it. And it probably doesn't take that long to do it. Like if you're doing like a 3 or 4 minute track, you would just record that particular part separately and do it that way. I mean, that's, in my opinion, that's a bit of a sort of antiquated, slow way of doing it. One of the other ways I like to do things is one of the reasons why I bought this particular product is I like to create clips, and that's why I got the Akai Force. And you can also do the same thing on a MPC as well. So it's not just the Force that can do this, but the Force kind of has a more of an arranger sort of launching ability that's a little bit more intuitive to what the MPC can do. But if you purely just wanted to record clips, the MPC can do it. And I've got an MPC just below as well, just to prove it to you. MPC just there. So I could record those audio glitches that you just heard from Eurorack into here bit by bit as clips. The cool thing about clips is once the forces and the MPCs are synced to your MIDI clock, right? And because they're synced to your MIDI clock, you're going to be able to create a little clip sound that is going to be to the beat. So if you've got anything else that will play later on and record later on, everything will still sync up because everything's synced to your beat. And that's one of the things that I absolutely love about that particular way of workflow is that you can create a sample, or it could even just be a sequence or anything in your Eurorack, and that might be completely analog in its kind of way it's producing sound, and then you can bring that in as a clip. You can do this clips in Ableton too, by the way, and other DAWs do clips as well, I understand. But for me, that's one of my favorite ways of workflow. One of the things that I'm looking at getting into is more, I haven't got it turned on at the moment, but is this little baby down here. Just here, you can just start seeing it here. I don't know if the camera's going to go to it. The S2400. So I want to start using that as an 8-track. This thing has got so much more than I need, but what I actually got this for is pretty much it's kind of almost crazy, but I just love the ability of the simpleness on how to mangle, pitch, and muck around with samples on it, and it just loops, and you can just, it's got analog filters in there, and it's just crazy. So for me, my kind of development of sound is going to be more really sample based, if you want to put a term to it. So basically, I'm just sampling myself, and Darren does that too. He just basically in his studio, he's recording snippets and tracks and snips of audio from all these different bits of gear in there, and he's sampling that into his DAW, and then he's manipulating that inside his DAW with other VSTs and effects and things like that. So it's kind of similar. We haven't got to multi-track yet, but should we see if there's any questions from chatties. I think most of the people in the chat probably pretty much know this stuff anyway. So we're teaching to the converted, aren't we? They already know this stuff. But this is more for like someone who's watching this as a beginner. So if you are in chat and you want to add your 2 cents in, because some people in chat are very knowledgeable in this area, don't be shy. Just flag our names and tell us what you want us to talk about, because we might forget something. I've got a few notes here to go through. Right, next thing is multi-track. Okay, because we really that's the hot one. Because that one is the euphoria. People sort of go, oh, I want a multi-track because then it's going to make my life easy and I'm not having to do what I just literally just showed you that I was one by one. So multi-tracking in Eurorack is no different to multi-tracking with hardware synths, right? You're going to need some sort of audio device that has the ability to split the audio into separate audio channels into your computer. So it has to be some sort of multi-tracked audio interface. So Darren's mixer can do it, right? Darren's mixer on his left there has the ability to multi-track into his
and
DAW.
also the MX1, which will probably be used.
Yep. And the MX1
that's what's going to be used for the modular.
Just above my head there. You've got an MX1 as well, Darren. Yep. So you can multi-track up to it's 18 channels or 16 channels, whatever it is in the MX1, and depending on what you use, of course. So it's the same with the DAW. So let's go over to this, and all I'm going to do is just point out, this is not a salesy show where we're going through the features of a module, but this is one of a company that does audio interfaces. It's called Expert Sleepers. This is an ES8 here, and you can see just where my fingers are there. I'm using the 2 SPDIF or ADAT connections into my RME DigiFace audio interface. So I'm using light pipe or optical fiber, if you want to call it that. That's just how I do it. But you don't have to. I can use RC 3.5mm jacks here. So this has got 8 inputs, 4 outputs. And you can also use USB as well, so it's class compliant USB. So this thing does quite a lot just for that little tiny module there. It may not be enough inputs and outputs for you, but you can buy expanders, expansion modules for it as well. You can go pretty crazy. You can put more of them in there too. They don't necessarily have to talk to each other. So I find this quite handy because of the fact that I've got the light pipe connection in and out. So I can actually bring audio from my DAW into my Eurorack, mangle that up with all sorts of modules that I've got here, and then bring that back in and record that as a sample. So that's one of the cool things about it. But at the same time, I can also use this to multi-track. So multi-tracking is actually not that hard at all. In your DAW, you would literally just come into here and you would choose your external input here. And in my particular case, you can just see there's so many channels here, right? There's like 32 channels. That is because I'm using an RME DigiFace. And in fact, if I had 2 of them, which you can, there would be 64 channels in here. Every single thing is all mapped out. Now, with the Expert Sleepers, because it's light pipe, they're coming into the DigiFace module. So they're coming in, you can see ES1, ES81, ES82, ES83, and ES84. So that's the Expert Sleepers module there. It's probably hard to see because the resolution of this YouTube video is only 1080p, but just trust me, 17, 18, 19, 20, that's the 4 channels there. And I can do the same, I can send output to it as well. So the cool thing about that is outputs can be done, through outputting that way, master outs, or you can output just using an audio track. You can have audio coming in from one thing and then going out to external out, and then configuring it through an output that way. And you can configure your outputs in your audio interface, in your DAW. I've shown you guys this before. I don't think I need to go into it, but that's what the RME DigiFace interface looks like. And that's how you can go in and name things, and there's all my expert sleeper channels there. By the way, if anyone's ever wondering why you can see like noise there, constant noise, so that is the unity gain thing. I forget what you call it actually. You go into here and we pick one and we click input. See how you can see noise, but you can't hear it. What you do in your DAW, if you do get this, happens with a lot of digital stuff, is you go into utility, and it's the DC offset thing. I think you just literally just drag the utility thing on here, and you click the DC offset thing there, and watch it disappear. Boom, off she goes. No more noise, no more digital noise. So that's to do with DC offset. I can't remember the technical term of why that is, and it's something to do with how digital audio works, but that's literally fixed just by using DC offset. And we kind of digressed. So multi-tracking, how would I multi-track? Well, I've just created a channel there. So there's channel, let's rename that. We'll call that ES81. And then you can do another one, and you can select that ES82 channel, rename it, so you don't forget what you've done, ES882, and you just keep going. So they're now all armed. Put that DC offset in there again so I don't get that noise. By the way, you can't hear that noise, it's just DC offset. Right, so there's 2 channels coming in, and if I go back to here now, I've got those 4 channels here that I could plug any sort of sound into. So for example, if I want to put my 2500 sound, which is coming through this purple cable here, I can plug that into there and press play on here. There it is there, coming straight in on its own. So that is literally an isolated channel. If I mute that, you won't hear it. So that's definitely coming through the ES8. And there it is, plugged in there. You can actually see, these things have got little lights underneath them. It's very hard to see with that camera angle, but you can actually see the light flickering underneath that jack. It's got little, it's kind of cool, I like it. And then let's bring the audio back. My mouse is gone, there it is. The other cool thing is once it's in your DAW, like Darren knows, you can actually then send it to your effects channels. It's a reverb, or delay. Bring the Presonus back in. Some kick. So that is how you multi-track, and then you can just create clips of it. So using a digital audio interface is the way to do it. That teenage engineering product that we showed earlier today on the news could multi-track for you into your computer. It's a 6-channel multi-track mixer recorder. That's pretty cool. You know, you may want to be a laptop, iPad sort of person. That might be the way you want to go. What's another example of multi-track? The Zoom recorders multi-track. So, you know, the HS6 and they all have multi-tracks on them. As Darren mentioned, the MX1. The MX1's, Darren, you mentioned before the MX1 is a submix. That's exactly what I've done here. So my MX1,
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys saw it.
Yes.
But I've actually got that as a channel here, right? So that channel 4, I should probably rename it if I'm not being lazy and call it MX1. And that channel, if I was to just solo that channel there, that channel would just, if I was to sort of, I need to probably turn my TR8 on. It would play the TR8, it would play the peak, it would play anything that's plugged into it over here. All right, TR8's on, peak's on, okay. So if I hit play on here, it should, it's not starting the TR8 for some reason. I don't know why, weird. Oh, maybe because I need to, sometimes I have some set up things that I've forgotten to do because I'm in a hurry. I might have not set up MIDI properly just yet. So you'll have to believe me. Normally this works.
Yeah, it's a Roland with driver in it, so switching it on when your computer's on doesn't always work.
There's the TR8 there. And then there's the MX1 there. So I probably just have to get the MIDI working on this. I don't know what's going on. But yeah, for some reason it's not playing MIDI. Weird. Okay, so multi-track. Was that enough? Do you reckon? I mean, I don't really need to sort of go into, once you've got multi-track, what are you going to do next? But really it's kind of choosing a product. Expert sleepers are one, but you don't have to have a module, do you? You don't, like you guys can see here, these are all my modules, right? Just right here. They don't need to be physically in your Eurorack. Why have I got them in my Eurorack? Because I can. It doesn't have to. You can have a mix like Darren has. You've got a mixer next to it. It's like just a cable. It's just a 3.5mm to a 1/4 inch jack. If you're worried about that sort of stuff, you can get converters. We were talking about them the other day. That's the attenuverter. Give these guys a plug again because they sent me some free stuff. This thing. You can get these converters if you want to convert stuff. If it's going to focus. Focus, your bugger. There you go. 1/4 inch to 3.5. Done. Job done. Easy. Hey? Completely passive module. No power required.
Does it? Yep. So it's not upping the level to Eurorack level. It's still just line level.
I've looked at the circuit on this. I can't see any circuitry on here. I can't see any capacitors or resistors or anything. All I can see is electrical joins. Thing, yeah. So it's, as far as I'm concerned, it's completely passive. But I definitely will be using that in the next couple of days because I want to bring something in that's 1/4 inch and I want to convert it into 1/8 inch. So that's just going to be a very handy thing to have instead of having to use cables and those adapter things on the end. So you end up with really, stupidly long plugs. So that's one thing. You don't need to do it this way either, guys. It's just what I've chosen to do. All right, questions in...
I have quite a few cables from 1/4 to 3.5 anyway, 1 inch 1/4.
1 inch,
yeah.
3.5.
You mean like those?
Yep.
Yeah.
Like those.
Yeah.
They're handy.
The problem with these cables, I bought these cables, right, thinking, oh, these are going to be really, really useful, particularly with that mixer. And do you know what? That plug is way too big. All this metal around it, it's way too big. So it's a bit of inconvenient.
Oh, see, I've got different ones.
You got little slimline ones. Yeah, I've got some slim ones which work.
I've got them ones.
Yeah.
That's the same as the ones I've got.
Don't have any issue with them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
they're exactly the same as...
I'm not sure what they are.
I think they're hoses, aren't they?
Yeah.
I think they're hoses.
I'm not sure.
Sorry about this. Now that Inky's arrived, I'm going. It's just gone 4 o'clock. I'm gonna have to dash now, folks. I'm sorry about that.
That's fine.
Hi Inky, bye Inky. See you, folks. I'll catch up with you all.
We're gonna wrap it up in a second anyway.
Take care.
See you, mate. Thanks for joining us, Bossy.
All right. Take care. Try.
See you guys. All right, so we did have some questions in the chat, and I do want to get to those. Firstly, I saw a question a bit further back, and I just need to remind it why. So, Dilip Funbar said, "What is a cool budget USB audio interface for an MPC-1?" Anything that's class compliant, I would say. So, let's get us up here, and then we can talk to the chatties at the same time. So anything that's class compliant.
Yeah, definitely class compliant. You don't want drivers.
When it's class compliant, it's basically what we're saying is that, like that. I'm not trying to sell that teenage engineering thing, but that is an example of a class compliant USB product that you will literally just plug it in, and it will work. Now, the Akai were kind of pushing the Tascam, mixers. Nice. Yeah, that's a good one. The iConnectivity one. That's a good one.
Yeah. That's really good, that. never have any issues with it at all.
Yeah. The Zoom recorders are class compliant. What else? The Arturia Audio Fuse products are class compliant. I mean, I'm just listing stuff off the top of my head. The Expert Sleepers module that I showed you before in my Eurorack is class compliant. So anything, I've actually tried that Expert Sleepers module in my MPC and it works. Comes up and shows me a whole bunch of inputs and outputs. So anything that's class compliant. Grace has asked, how about recording a load of nice analog modules to 1/2-inch tape and then sampling into DAW? Well, it would be, Grace, it'd be the same method. So you would route your analog audio to your tape recorder. You would then record it onto tape, and then you would plug your tape recorder into your audio interface or your mixer and record that into your DAW or your sampler. It would be a two-stage, thing, because I don't really see why you'd want to just go straight through, because you'd want the benefit of the sound of the actual tape itself. If you've got a nice Akai tape reel or something like that, you really want to have the sound of it, all the sort of, the nuances of that analog tape magnetic bias and, wow and flutter and all that sort of stuff. You want all that as your sample, so you would do that in 2 stages. That's how I would do it anyway. If you do have a question, flag my name. Eddie says, is the DC offset related to the DC coupling capability? I can't remember. And I feel really bad because I kind of brought that up and I should have looked at my notes. Sorry. Synth Addict says, RC505, Black Box or Loopy, HD Loopy Pro on iPad are all good modular recording options and they are doorless. So there you go. It's a tip from Andy, who's Synth Addict, who is also quite regular on the show. It's nice to have Andy in the chat. Gets up early to be part of our community, which is awesome. So yeah, if you want to ask a question about this stuff, flag my name by just going at Ranzee. And it's just because there's a lot of other chat that happens backwards and forwards with other people. Just helps me see the comment and I can flag it. There you go. Dominic's answered the DC offset question. He said DC offset is because you are sending a gate signal into an audio track. There you go. Because they're DC coupled, right? That's the reason. Because you have voltage and you have audio. It's DC coupled. Is that how it works? Grace is saying, totally. I would be interested in layering them up and then seeing how they interact. Yeah, look, that sort of stuff is cool fun. I don't have a reel-to-reel, but I've got the old-fashioned cassette. I've got a couple. I've got a Technics. I've got a Pioneer, and they both sound different because one was early 80s and one was kind of early 90s. And it's interesting to see how they sound when you record them. So for me, it's kind of like just how grungy the tape sound can sound. It's just what we used to put up with this stuff in the 80s. We used to think it was cool. And it's just like today, it's just completely really grungy. Wagoo just popped a nice little gesture into the chat. Where did that go? That's not that one, it's that one there. Thank you for the chuff of the 10 of the Swiss francs. Thank you very much for that. Much appreciated. We need to try and get you a camera, Darren. We can probably do it through this show. If anyone wants to donate a camera for Darren, so he's got more than
a camera. Yeah, look.
More than just his. Yeah, but then you could have a second one. I reckon that'd be cool. You could have like.
Yeah, but then I'd have to have something to change the second camera.
All you need is just a little switch. They're like 15 pounds, $30. Little switch, just a little switch, and it does it for you. Talk about it later. I have, because I was shouting at the footy, I've got a frog in my throat. Sorry, say again.
Or something like a PZ camera so I can spin it around.
Oh yeah, those things. They're getting close to about $1,000 US. Those things. You can get cheaper ones, but yeah. Mine was mine was around about
because I'm not on. I think this is only doing 720p, even though it's supposed to be able to do HD. For some reason on the Mac, on this Logitech, it doesn't want to do 1080, so it's doing 720. So on the PC, it'll do 1080.
Yeah, some advertise that they can do 1080, but they for the 1080. It's actually so they're actually native at 720, and they scale up. So they're not actually a true, they're not a true 1080. And some say that they can do 4K, and they're not a true 4K. They're only a 1080. So you got to watch out for things like that. But when that's getting into video world, and that's not what we're talking about today. Okay. So yeah, okay. So going back to production, the next part is kind of like workflow, right? So if you're going to produce yourself, you're going to want to do it in the ways that we talked about, whether it was you're going to be recording bit by bit and taking just the single output of each sound and then building it up and, slowly building your tracks up. It can be quite fun doing that, by the way, too, because you might find as you separate the audio, because when you're jamming, everything's all mixed and you're hearing the whole thing together, right? But when you're doing multi-tracking or you're individually recording each track, once you separate the audio, all of a sudden you get a chance to actually listen to all the sounds of that one sound source. And then you might start getting some ideas about EQing, and you might think to yourself, this is quite dynamic, like this is very high and very low range, and it's like the noise is going all the way across the spectrums, and this could saturate against some of the other sounds that I've got in my track. Like it might override the bass line, or it might drown out a bit of the kick drum. Do you know what I mean? Like, so once you actually start separating all the tracks and listening to them separately, it's actually a really good methodical way of doing it, because you can kill some of the mixing issues there while you're at it. So if you guys were listening to that stuff I was doing before, one of the things you would have noticed is there is actually an error in mixing in this. So let's see if I can do it again for you. I'll just take that out of there and put that back in here. Okay. All right, see if you guys can pick it. So if I start separating the sounds again, see how they're drowning out that kick drum? And it could be the delay that's doing that, or it could be EQ that I need to do on it. So what I would probably do in that sense is I would look at a whole bunch of different options. You could sidechain so that you're getting the kick to separate itself when it's going through, or you could EQ some of those other bass sounds so that they're not in the same frequency as your kick. By the way, I didn't want that kick sound. It's not a very good kick sound, but I just use it as an example. And the other thing you could do is look at some of the delay effects. Sometimes the delay effects have the ability to, on the delay part, have a high pass filter on it. So instead of it repeating at the same frequency, it just repeats at a high pass frequency. So it's not quite as damaging on the delay. So there's little things like that you can look at. And that's only by separating the sounds do you get that. Do you know what I mean, Darren? It's kind of, they're the tricks, right?
Yeah, and also what I find is if I do, for instance, do like a jam type and record, multi-track, record all the sounds, sometimes you end up coming up with something completely different once you get it into your DAW, for instance. When you actually listen back to all your separate sounds or your separate tracks, and you sort of like go, actually, it gives me a completely different idea or a different look on the jam that you was doing, and that's sometimes that's originally an actual track that has nothing to do with what you were jamming. You're just using bits of it, but reworking it into a different type of track. Quite a lot of the times, that's what happens to me. And that's just by hearing the actual tracks or the sounds separate from the actual whole track that you're jamming or writing at the time.
Yeah, I think kind of multi-track is kind of just it's just really you trying to streamline things. So we don't need Brooksy there, do we? Sorry, Brooksy. We don't love you that much.
I thought you'd pop back then.
There we go. Yeah, he's frozen in time. If we ever need to, we can always just go. We can go, Brooksy. What do you think about it? I think this. That's what I think. One of the things that's weird about this software
That's
is
going to get me. That's
when the call finishes, the last frame of the video pause. I can turn that feature off, but I love it. It's like the last thing that literally the last frame the video camera takes. It pauses it. So be careful what you do. Like, don't stick your finger up.
Well,
your nose or
that
something
one's
like
there. How interested are you in this? Every time, how interested are you in this product? And then it's.
Yeah. One of the other things I think we should talk about too is not getting carried away too much. Like when you're creating, you probably depends on your workflow. Some people don't jam when they create. They will create systematically. They'll actually record a bit, then they'll build on that, and then that's how they create. So there's so many different ways.
That is more my thing, because I very rarely really, I mean, I do jam, but very rarely record all my jamming sessions and create from that. It's just on the odd occasion.
Yeah.
But I am more in the latter.
Yeah. Yeah, so I kind of feel like some of these opinions that we have of like production, really depends on your workflow. So, I've seen lots of different people's studios. Actually, that's something that we need to do again. Do you remember the segment that we do where that people send photos of their studios in? I reckon we should do another of those.
Your studio setups.
Yeah, show us your studio setups. We'll do that soon. Because seeing what other people have in their studios really gives you an insight into how they work, right? When I moved into this space, I made a few changes to my workflow, which may or may not be good, but that's what happens when you move. Darren, when you changed your studio around, it would have been a lot of thought into how you did it with, obviously constrained with space, but workflow would have been something at the forefront of that, right?
And it doesn't seem to matter how many times you change your studio or change your kit in your studio, you always end up finding problems. It doesn't matter how much you stretch out over the time of using that new studio or new creative space. There always seems to be coming up problems, only sometimes minor, sometimes big, that you didn't foresee because, like you say, your workflow has changed or the way you're doing things has slightly changed because of the creative space that you've made.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, even right today, I haven't got the USB MIDI thing working at the moment, and I know what I've got to do. I've got to go back over to that rack over there and turn it off and turn it back on again, and then load the patch settings in there, which takes a couple of seconds. But there's little things like that just peeve you off because it's why does it keep doing that? And that's just some gear that you've got in your studio that's the quirkiness of that gear. You have to muck around with it. MIDI is something else I kind of want to talk about because MIDI and Eurorack and CV are part of production that we need to talk about too. And that, I mean, hey, that product that we showed today really does fit beautifully into the production side of things. So let's see if I can get that back up again. We go back. Let me just see if I can get it right. Come on. So this thing here, the NiftyKEYZ, right? And this is not sponsored by Cre8audio, as I said before. But really, this should start getting people thinking about creativity and production, because one of the things that and I mentioned this earlier in the show, Robin rightly pointed out, when we are in the Eurorack space and modular space, we aren't so much in keyboard playing synthesizer, traditionally space, are we? We're more sequencing and nod twiddling and making sound effects and blip, blop, blip. It's not so much. It is.
Yeah.
It is, but not so much. So this leads to a question, and that is, when we've got our studio stuff, right, in modular, how much of it is going to be MIDI and how much of it is going to be CV and how much of it is not going to be either? It's just going to be whatever we twist on the knob, like, you know, human intervention. And how do we produce from that? That's a good question, right? How do we produce? How do we replicate that? So, say you did something and it was a happy accident and you think, oh shit, that sounded really cool. How do I do that again? And you've forgotten how you did it. You maybe accidentally bumped a slider or tapped the knob or something. You know, what's one thing that you can use that will catch those little happy accidents? Can you think of one? I can think of one, but I just want to see if you've got a method maybe.
Well, you see, because I'm on the fly, so I don't really, like I say, I just fly with the sounds and record everything constantly. I don't use MIDI as such because my modular is separate, so I'm not like my MIDI equipment's not necessarily talking to my modular because I'm usually using my modular as its own sound source. So I don't really get involved into the MIDI in that side, but I do have the HerMod, which means I can transmit MIDI into the eurorack if I do, but I very rarely use that.
Yeah, look, this is going to sound really, really like so basic, and someone's going to just go, ugh, duh, when I say it. But honestly, make sure you hit record. Just have your DAW recording constantly, and have those tracks coming into your DAW. And if you do have a happy accident, you've got it recording. It might be, you know, at 1 hour, 24 minutes in, and then goes for 3 minutes, right? But it doesn't matter, it's there. All you have to do is just stop what you're doing and go back a little bit and you'll find it in the recording. So that was a very, very basic thing. And sometimes at the end of the show, I always remind people, don't forget to record. That's just kind of one of the things I've always been big on. But another feature that you could use, and this is something that some DAWs have, is they have if you arm a channel, like, so that channel there is armed because I've got that little red thing down the bottom. So anything that I do, I can actually go back, and you can do this with MIDI as well. I can go back and create a clip, even though I actually haven't recorded, physically like press the, you know, the record track button or the record clip button in here, because it's got a new feature where it's kind of listening and it's got a buffer. So some DAW's got that feature, and I think that's a beautiful feature. It's really helping us in the world of you know, being musicians. It's things that help us capture stuff that maybe we weren't supposed to capture. You know, it's a good thing. It's like a backup. So yeah, arm your tracks in your DAWs, and if you've got them up to date, most of them have that feature. A couple of questions are popping through as we're going, so we'll go to those.
Well, even if you don't have a DAW, like you say, just a recorder, for instance, if it's a Zoom, make sure that that's plugged in and recording as you just jam or whatever away. Even if you're not even intending to go back on the computer, it's recorded there, and you never know, listen to it back later. You might go, that's what I wanted.
Yep.
But you've
They're
saved
just
it, like
SD
you say,
cards.
you've got it.
Yeah. Just keep filling up your SD cards. Eddie's asked, how does polyphonic MIDI work in eurorack? Just multiplying everything and buy ridiculously expensive MIDI to CV modules. There's no such thing as a ridiculously expensive MIDI to CV module, Eddie. In fact, Behringer make a MIDI to CV module which is less than £50, which you can get through Thomann. There's actually a couple of different ways to do polyphonic MIDI to CV in eurorack. I mean, obviously, you could go and get yourself one of these things, a NiftyKEYZ, because there's 4-voice poly built into it, and then manipulate it across the keyboard however you want, splits, all that sort of stuff. That's one way. Another way would be to get a module like the, if I get my camera to go across, I can actually show you. Expert Sleepers make a good MIDI to CV module. I really like this module. Oh, it's not going to be very nice to look at because it's got cables everywhere. I'll try and move some cables out of the way. This is it here. It's called the FH2 or Factotum by Expert Sleepers. It's been with an Expert Sleepers show today. We're not sponsored by them. So there is a FH, F for Frank, H for Hotel 2. I use USB MIDI on this. It's a USB-C connection. You can actually plug in, like I can plug a key step into that as well. It's cool. It's got a menu. You can do stuff through the menu up here. And those two CV connections there are actually from my DAW. So they are actually sending clock and run reset into PAMs. So I can actually start PAMs from my DAW. But this thing can do a whole bunch of more. It can expand out to extra CV, both CV pitch and gate modules you can get, and you can actually set it up using. I've shown it before. You can set it up using an application. I'll bring it up. It's in here somewhere. The F2 configurator. Here we go. So you can configure it, and in here it's got what MIDI channel and whether it's routed to CV or gate or anything like that. It's so configurable. This thing can have velocity, aftertouch, random, mod wheel, all sorts of cool stuff, right? And that's all configurable there, and you can save those as templates and all that sort of stuff. So that's what FH2 does. There are heaps of MIDI to CV modules like the Mutable yarns as well, and but probably not quite as configurable as this, but pretty good. And yeah, I don't know why I keep going to Brooksy. Sorry. So yeah, once you set up that, you can then map each CV to fire off a different note. So you can have it set to like a round robin type thing where each note you press goes to a different CV output on the module, and then you can map those CV outputs to different modules in your eurorack. And if you've got synth modules like we showed before, like the Behringer 110, you could buy 4 of those Behringer 110s, and they are a VCO, VCF, and VCA all in one for less than $100. You could have a 4-voice System 100 polyphonic synth for pretty cheap money. Stick them in that, the NiftyKEYZ. That's actually not a bad idea, actually. That is getting close to a Jupiter 4. I am. That is getting close to a Jupiter 4. I mean, when you think about it, System 100 is pretty close voicing-wise, right? The filter would be, yeah. They definitely, USB to MIDI is, go and look at Modular Grid. If you haven't looked at Modular Grid is kind of the nerdy land of Eurorack people, right? Do Modular Grid. It is a great website. And I thoroughly recommend that you check it out. Maybe I should log in. Yeah, I'll log in. There we go. Check it out because this lists all Eurorack modules, right? And 9,747 modules, and that doesn't include unknown. If I include unknown, there's 12,330 modules in there. And that probably isn't all the modules in the world, by the way. But, so for example, if we want to do MIDI, we would go down to function, MIDI, and these are all the modules available, 424 modules that have some sort of MIDI function. And look at them, there's some crazy stuff, like the VCMC from Bafako.
Yeah.
It's a voltage controlled MIDI controller.
That's always took my fancy.
It has me too, yeah. And you can see the Expert Sleeper stuff in there. MIDI Thang's a good thing. Enhanced, there's people have hacked yarns. So that, like, for example, Blue Lantern have done the enhanced yarns. What else? Heaps of stuff. Look at that all.
That's the thing you see about modular. It's just like endless. This is why it costs so much, because there's just so much to choose from. So much.
But
so much, but never
it's a good
enough.
point. It is a good point, because when we're doing production, one of the things we want is we may want to manipulate we were talking about recording notes on a keyboard, right? And that's one of the reasons why that NiftyKEYZ is pretty cool. But what if you can't afford a NiftyKEYZ? Or what if you're saying like someone like me, I don't really need a NiftyKEYZ because I've already got MIDI to CV and I've got keyboards that do MIDI and I can connect that and I don't have to buy something like that. So technically I don't need it. If I want to record the notes that I've played, not just the sound that the audio makes from the modules, because there's sometimes you want to record both, right? And if you ever need to redo that recording, but the playing part of it was perfect, but the recording might not have been, you can then just go back and replay the MIDI notes. And if you've got that MIDI CV conversion, you can tweak your module, re-record the audio, and you've always got that MIDI note recorded as a clip. So I would definitely recommend some sort of MIDI to CV module in part of that. We talked about VCAs. I would definitely recommend some sort of MIDI to CV. There are CV recorders as well, and you can actually record, like we talked about DC coupling before. I could actually record the CV as an audio clip and play that back too. A lot of people don't realize you can do that. You can actually record CV. So that starts to hurt people's brains though when you start talking about stuff. Oh, I like hurting people's brains. Right, we've got some comments in the chat. We'll probably wrap it up soon. A couple comments about MIDI to CV. Mutant Brain is good. MIDI to CV Unit 2, yes it is. Eddie's saying, sadly my plan is 6 voices to trigger from my guitar. Lots of savings. Maybe you should get the avatar that Behringer are thinking about making. You love that guitar stuff. Just pressure Behringer to make the avatar. Yes, I think, yeah. Ask us any more questions. I mean, you know, ask us anything. We are talking about modular production. What have we missed? Like, I'm sure we've missed something. Someone's going to be commenting on this video, some unknown, and they'll be saying, oh, you didn't say about blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, well, where were you to ask that? It's too late now.
There's always going to be something you miss, isn't there?
Yeah.
There's always something, because even we might not know everything. Well, we don't.
Yeah. Andy Synthetic saying black box bitbox is good for recording CV2. Yes, it is. Well, was someone asking me about the Akai Force recording CV? And I couldn't remember whether I said it could or not. I think it could. Surely, should it be able to? I think there's a certain level of configuring that you'd need to do. Yeah, so I think most of the people, like I said, most of the people that are in the chat already know this stuff and they don't really need to ask. And they're probably just here because they're just chilling out on their Saturday morning or Saturday afternoon.
They're having the synth fest with us yapping. Saturday Serenity, wasn't it?
So speaking of Synth Fest, is Super Booth a couple of weeks away, isn't it? It's not far away. What do you guys think about Super Booth coming up?
Yeah.
Do you think there's going to be some big announcements there? I got a feeling there is. I don't know. I don't have any NDAs. No. I'm on the same side as you guys.
There's usually something each year, isn't there? Even if you're not expecting anything, there's usually something.
Yeah.
Can't think what. I mean, I bet there'll be something that'll just completely take you by surprise. That's a definite.
I reckon.
Is it? Are they still allowing people in? Are they now?
I got sent the invite thing. I don't really know what else though. Oops, wrong one. I don't want that there. I think.
Yeah, Wagyu is open for a lot of big announcements.
There we go. Let's put the chatties behind us. That looks cool. Hey.
Yeah, that's fine. You can sort of read the early ones.
We'll take that little scroll.
Yeah, Wagyu open for some big announcements.
There we go. Take that off. Yeah, I'm hoping for some, and I think I don't know. Maybe the Oberheim synth might appear there. That's kind of what I'm feeling. The Oberheim might, the new, all this announcement about Oberheim, I think there might be something announced that. That would be my guess. It was interesting that you're seeing like the Teenage Engineering stuff and the Elektron stuff come out now. Because usually they tend to announce that stuff right on the day before or whatever.
I think COVID changed a lot of it, didn't it? A lot of them are just now, you're sort of getting to hear about it before they even release it at these events like they used to at one time. You didn't hear it until the actual event. Now it's more, I mean, there still is some surprises, but there's a lot more that just comes out now. Just get out, like I say, as soon as they've got it, they want to get it out there rather than wait for an event.
Bert's hoping for a game changer, he says. You might be at the wrong event. What was that I heard about PlayStation and Nintendo doing stuff together? Or was I dreaming that? I'm sure I saw something one of my kids was playing a video and they were talking about that. I don't really sort of follow that part of the world, but I'm pretty sure I heard someone saying that they're doing something together. That would be a game changer.
Roland, as the old head, Roland will be announcing they're chasing ghosts after all.
There'll be a video. It'll be one of those like Blair Witch Project type videos too, where they're running through the forest and there's ghosts everywhere. We've had some news about the sample track, is that what you call it, from Sonicware. So they've been busy with that stuff. I saw an update with them the other day. I was just trying to see if I can quickly find it here, or is it going to be too hard? Here we go. Sample track. Thank you for your support. Today I will share the final panel design. Okay, can I get... Yeah, I can save that. I can share that with you guys. I'm nice. I don't know if I'm allowed to, but kill me, shoot me. This won't break copyright. There you go. There's the final... What did they say about it? It's the final panel design for printing, okay? And so they've obviously made some changes to what we've seen. The guitar icon on the input gain was eliminated, and the place and the name. So they're going through a whole bunch of tiny little changes here before they go into
tweaks.
Yeah, I like it because it's kind of blow by blow. You get this email every couple of weeks from them. And they're telling us all about they're introducing a new developer to their team called Tetsuya Sujimura, who I got a feeling I read somewhere that he was some sort of consumer development professional. So they're getting some good people behind their teams now. This company's starting to get more serious. Anyway, I thought that was interesting. Those who missed out on the Kickstarter, don't worry, there's going to be plenty of these things. You will get them eventually. I think the other news this week that I thought was interesting was that you still can sell your Moogerfoogers. Even though the Behringer announced they're going to be doing the clones. You can still sell your Moogerfooger pedals for something stupid. There's one on eBay right now, which is literally just a filter for $1,600 US. So yeah, if you're sitting on a gold mine of Moogerfoogers right now, I would just cash in and then replace them with your Behringer ones. I'm completely joking, by the way. Yeah.
But if you do need some cash.
If you do need, if you've got... But do you remember that story I told you guys about years ago when I was a really young fella and I first started buying, music gear? I had a Boss Dr. Rhythm drum machine, and I like one of these things where you kick yourself because you should have held it. But I literally sold it, took it to the pawn shop because I couldn't afford my phone bill. And this thing would be worth like a couple of $1,000s now because it was the analog one.
Oh. If only we knew, though. That's
I think I only got $30 for it or something, and it wasn't even enough to pay the full phone bill. So yeah,
the person who bought it for like 35 is now
he's still sitting on it
for like 1,000.
Yeah, he's probably one of these people in the chat right now, like rubbing his hands together. Okay, we're going to wrap it up. So yeah, big thank you to John from Plugin Guru. Skippy, if you're wondering who John is, he has been on the show before. Awesome to have a prize now for Name That Synth. So that really does, mature up that segment now. That makes it very viable for you guys out there who are thinking about rubbing your hands together. Maybe I might want to put a Name That Synth segment through. So it's pretty easy. If you do want to get in contact with me, the easiest way is through the socials, and I'll let you know how I need that video and what format to put it in. So you don't need to worry about me telling you that right now. You contact me and I'll tell you that offline. Is the easiest way to go about it. Now, if you are watching this on the replay and you thought to yourself, I could probably win a prize, then you need to watch next week, because there'll be another segment and there'll be another prize. So like I said, once again, Plugin Guru are awesome for doing that. And I hope we can hang on to them, because I think that'll make this show a little bit more sticky for some people anyway. Also, once again, big thanks to Emily from Mutable Instruments for everything she's done for the synth community, especially Eurorack and synthesizers in general. And we hope she sticks around in some way. I'm not sure what that means, what she's doing now, what the next plans is for the future.
I think she might create something like Instruments of Mutableness.
Well, she's muting. She's definitely muting her Eurorack, that's for sure. Yeah. Bad puns galore here today. But yeah, thanks to Emily. Big send off for you, and a big salute, as I said earlier in the show. Yeah, other than that, Darren, awesome to have you on, mate. Any news from your channel or
welcome.
your stuff that you want to promote quickly?
I'll see if I can put a video up tomorrow. It'll be a quick one. It might even be a jam or something like that, because I've not got any track prepared, because I'm doing my other stuff for, as you know, for Rave Dave and the other few albums and EPs. So, but people who follow me on Bandcamp will get to know about that a lot before anyone else does. So there'll be bits coming up. Yep. But yeah, I'll see what I can put out tomorrow. You'll see.
Right, everyone's leaving because I know we're wrapping it up. So before we finish off, we're gonna sign off and say, have an awesome day. Don't forget Dom's show is on tomorrow, yes. Mr. Wiggly. So go check that out, and big hello to you, Dom, too, if you're watching. Other than that, awesome. Thank you very much. Catch you later.
Take care, everyone.
Don't forget to press record.